Hey everybody, it's Party Elite. Welcome you back to another session of our Suzerain live Let's Play. Still don't quite have a term for it, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Hope y'all are having a wonderful Friday, whether it is the morning, afternoon, evening, night, or maybe it's Saturday for some of y'all. Whatever time it might be, I hope it's a good time. It's been a while since we've played Suzerain, that's for sure. It's because last week, of course, Friday was New Year's Day. If I recall correct, was it New Year's Day? I don't know. Fridays have been off for the last little while just because of how the holidays worked out, and then before that, our session was cut very short by a temperamental internet, which I hope is going to be less temperamental today. But with that said, let's dive right on in with little time to waste, because I do want to accomplish a fair bit. I've been enjoying this game. I would like to make some progress with it. And the downside is, of course, that as a game with only one save, I'm not able to play it, you know, outside of the live streams or anything. So it's a bit of a bummer not being able to keep myself sort of engaged in it. And that's always the downside to that kind of approach. So I appreciate why the developers are doing it. So a warm welcome to y'all who are chatting in chat already. We got Sakath, we got Jazzy B, we've got Nimal D'Souza, we've got Classified, we've got Carrie Sawolski, and we've got Against the River. Carol Kutalik, hello to you all, and to those of you who are watching quietly as well, hello, hello. Havoc, it going, man? What are you trying to convert me to? What are you doing over here? Get those wololos out of the... get them out of here. Get them out of here. How's it going, man? Hope you're having a good day. Hope you all had a wonderful week as well. It's so weird. This week has been such a blur. I can't believe it's I can't believe it's already Friday. I can't believe it's January, first of all. I can't believe it's 2021. One of the videos I released earlier, like on the 3rd or whatever it was, is like my most anticipated games of the year video, and literally I launched it saying my most anticipated games of 2020, and until one of the comments was like, hey, I think you meant 2021, I was like, right, of course, you got to get the date wrong the first time you write it down in the new year, right? But man, what a it's been strange, but we're back at it. Let's hope we can keep things in check, both in terms of the timeline in the real world and the timeline in this world, right? YouTube Sarko, how's it going, buddy? Spindle, glad you can make it. Keith Rowe, having a good day, I hope. Going good, working your butt off. I don't know. YouTube will just like slap me with a demonetization, won't it? Working your butt off. So I'm more than happy to get into this stream and watch some Suzerain. Sounds good. Have you played much of it? Muted in a meeting. Oh, good luck, Sakath. Could it have been an email? All right, let's get to it, shall we? Let's get started. Let's not waste too much time or anything. A quick recap, I think, is in order. Not too much happened last session because, again, it was a little cut short because of the aforementioned temperamental internet, but there was one very important conversation that took place, if memory serves me correctly, and that was the bribe attempt from the man in charge of the conglomerate, and that conglomerate includes Underhall Construction. He came through with... you know, as if I recall correctly, it was like a late night after a hard day's work. I just wanted to go home. He arrived. My secretary was like, I asked my secretary to like keep him at bay and like tell him to come back some other day, but he decides to barge into my office, gives me a bunch of attitude, and pretends to care about the nation while he really just cares about his cronies. And he wanted me to give the contract for the highway that we're building I believe it was specifically the highway that we're building to the Underhall Construction. They are one of the best rated, like, construction, I guess, offices or providers, whatever the term would be, in the nation, which is great. They're very highly reviewed. However, that bribe has certainly made me a little bit, just a little upset. But you know what makes me not upset? Is seeing a nice super chat coming through right at the start of his stream. Ghost and Knight official coming through the super chat. Hey party, just wanted to stop by and say hi. Well, hello to you as well. Thank you very much for that super chat. It really means a lot. Really helps support the channel, helps support these streams. So it is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, buddy. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you had a good week. And if you're hanging around, you know, feel free to stick around, of course. Even if you're not familiar with what this game is, we will happily induct you. But if you got to get going, then again, thanks for dropping by and do enjoy the weekend. Yeah, exactly. The dude that tried to bribe me, Spindle. Yeah, we turned him down without hesitation. We cut him down. And then our secretary was kind of like, "Hey, did you accept that bribe, by the way?" And it's just like, no, we didn't. I can proudly say we didn't. And in fact, see, if he hadn't tried to bribe us, I might have actually given the contract to Underhall Construction. Maybe. But it was on the table. But because of the bribe, it's pretty much off the table. I would rather not. No, not like almost not a chance, right? Almost not a chance. Any Slaneshi cultists in here? Shout out to them. No corruption allowed. Oh, I shouldn't say anything then. All right, let's see. There's a lot of stuff going on across the nation as well. And what does the news have to say? I'm sure somebody feels like I did accept the bribe, even though I very clearly did not. The Whole Sword post over here. Do you have any new news? It's so weird. When did this happen? It used to always be the latest news was at the top. Anyway, Keebner suggests expanding executive powers. The leader of the NFP, just as a reminder, that is the nationalist, ultra-conservative political party. I'm going to do a couple of reminders this session because it has been a couple of weeks since we've played. So I will do a couple of reminders on these key points and key parties, literally speaking, as well as characters and whatnot when necessary. We have not yet awarded it, no. And I think I'll probably award it to the state. Probably, again, it's a major construction project, generate the jobs and stuff like that. Probably stick to the state and trust in the state's ability. Make it prove that our new approach will work is what I'm thinking. Haldor, how's it going, man? How's it going? Yeah, there is a lot in this game. There's a lot in this game. All right, so leader of the NFP, again, our ultra-conservative party. Not our, but the nation's ultra-conservative party. Kesaro Kibner has suggested that the new constitution should expand executive powers, adding fuel to the debate over the possibility of reforming the 1929 constitution. He pointed out the current dire situation of Sordland and emphasized the need for a strong leadership. The current constitution suggests a division of executive power between the cabinet and the president, who has no immunity before the courts for acts of treason and unconstitutional behavior during office. In the system suggested by the NFP, the president would have absolute immunity before the courts, and it is the president who would chair the cabinet. It is not clear yet whether the suggestion would spark future debate in the form of committee with the PFJP and the USP. So the PFJP is the People's Freedom and Justice Party. They are the, again, they're the more liberal party. So, social democracy is their thing. They are the people that we're kind of more aligned to. They're the ones who are trying to reform the Constitution. They're the ones who are trying to introduce change. And our party is the USP. And these guys, this is the oldest political party in the nation. They have, within it, they have factions. They have the old guard, who are a bit more kind of like, well, they're the old guard. They're conservative in all senses of the term. They want to keep things the way they were, including, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But they also have people who are, reformists. They've got progressives. It's a bit of a split party. It is the largest party, and we are at its head. Again, we are at its head. All right, so the PFJP proposal had suggested that the president should have no presidential decrees, might result in the abolishment of the assembly, and take the country to an early election, despite the independents' counter-proposal to give a similar power to the parliament to take down the president. But that detail was not shared with the press in yesterday's press conference. At least 150 signatures and then reach the needed 166 votes. If the proposal passes the Assembly, it is still subject to another voting in the Supreme Court, as well as judicial review, which still stands as the biggest obstacle before the parties. Now, the stream should be fine. Just hit refresh. I've got everything's all green over here, folks. Yeah, just hit refresh if it's causing you trouble. That's weird. Oh God, we should be good. It's back. And we're back. Are we back? We good? Can y'all hear me loud and clear? Y'all hear the game audio? Y'all hear me? Can you see the stream? Are things moving? Let me know, chat. Let me know. Good to hear. Oh hey. Alright. Looks like we might be back. Hopefully that lasts. I sincerely do not comprehend how it's like perfectly timed. My internet and everything will work perfectly smoothly every day, all day, except for the days that I have to stream. Whatever I did seems like it's working. Alright, cool. Game's not freezing. All right. Let's pick things up where we left them off, and hopefully YouTube is smart enough to keep all these pieces together. I apologize for those technical issues, folks, but thank you for your patience. I really greatly appreciate it, because it bothers me so much. So all right, cool. Yeah, we're back. It's that Toronto weather playing around with your stream. You know, I legitimately, honestly, would not be surprised. Like, if it rains here, things go sideways. If it snows here, things goes the other sideways. It's terrible. But I wouldn't be surprised. All right, let's do this. So what I was getting at as things started to die on me is that this article in particular is of particular importance because, just as a reminder, we are partaking in a pretty major reform to the 1929 Constitution of the nation. It involves changing how much power the president has. It involves removing our veto powers. It involves changing how much power the Supreme Court has. Right now, oh, Judah, okay, great. So you're very familiar then. But yeah, so the big thing is that the Supreme Court. So okay, well, there's two big things. And it's this line over here, the required 150 signatures, and then the needed 166 votes. And then there is the matter of the Supreme Court itself. Within our own party, and if we take a look at the assembly here, within our own party, of these 130 seats, not all of them are down with the down for the Reformation, right? So we can't count 130 guaranteed votes or anything. We're going to have to convince people to join us. Again, we've got factions within our party. We're going to have to help them understand what we're going for, and we're going to have to try and get them to join us. The PFJP, they're down to... They're open to Reformation, but they have some very strict demands that if we don't meet, they might say no, and we might not get those 70 votes. The NFP, they're very clearly not open to the idea of Reformation, so we might not have those 40 votes at all. Which means there's the slimmest of margins in terms of how many votes we can afford to lose as we try to push this Reformation. Yes, thank you, Sky. That would be appreciated. Yeah, I don't mind people being a part of the decision-making process, but no spoilers is appreciated. Thank you. But yeah, so this is going to be our first hurdle, and then if we manage to make it past the National Assembly, the problem with the Supreme Court is that the majority of the Supreme Court involves or consists of the old guards, and they are, again, the more kind of conservative people. They want to, and I mean that in capital C as well as lowercase c, they want to keep things as they were. So that's going to be the second sort of half of that challenging Reformation that we're trying to do. So that was an important article there, just to point out the requirements to make it all happen. Now over here, what does the Radical have for us? A Workers' Party Solidarity March. The pro-minority Workers' Party of Bludia, just as a reminder, the Bludish people are refugees who have come from across the border. They are, they're a minority in the nation, but they do have... There's a lot of... They're very targeted in terms of, for a lot of, by a lot of, hate groups and stuff, but they also have their own separatist faction too. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, the Bludish people. It's a bit of a mixed bag. So the pro-minority Workers' Party of Bludia rally in the Bludish majority city of Suzerain attracted a large audience. The gathering was heavy on flags and banners, whipping in the rain and chill wind as the gatherers declared solidarity with Bernard Circus. This is the man that was assassinated at our inauguration ball. Among the speakers at the rally was Mansoon Leek, a Bludish member of Assembly, who is standing as the leader of the independence in the Grand National Assembly. Although not a member of the Workers' Party of Bludia, he was the leading figure of the event. "We will again foil this war plot that was set up by the Solist ideology," he said in reference to the series of conflict and bloodshed during Tarkin Sol's term as president, which claimed thousands of Bludish lives. "We will come out of this tunnel of conflict. We will not only win against the discrimination, we will win the truth. When we have altogether foiled this trick of polarization, our songs of peace which spread from Izam will ring out even stronger all over Sordland. leak added in reference to the Izam incident of 1933, which triggered Tarkinsol's persecution of Bludish minorities and the formation of the militant organization, the Bludish Freedom Front. There's your, they're your separatists there. So, yeah, the Bloods, or the Bludish people, are a bit of a mixed bag situation. 20 Bludish citizens were attacked by a group of people suspected to be members of Young Swords during their peaceful protest to support Bernard Circus. The Young Swords, again, a right-wing nationalist organization. They have been, they were the ones responsible for the assassination. I believe that's more or less confirmed. And as you can see, they can get up to some pretty nefarious things. The group was overwhelmed, and the local police forces couldn't reach the protesters to protect them amidst the chaotic crowd. The attackers ran away without getting caught, and 11 of the victims were hospitalized with critical injuries. Oh, man. Yeah, so stuff's been hitting the fan. Outside of the news articles, let's not forget that there is pressure from up north. Rumberg over here has been implying some sort of military push in a general southward direction into our territory. They've been moving their military forces. They have closed one of their consulates. Again, I must stress, one of their consulates, not the embassy. Closing a consulate is phase 1. Closing the embassy is phase 2, as far as declaring, as far as like a diplomatic war is concerned. So we gotta worry about that. We only have so much money as far as our budget is concerned. Our economy is in shambles. Again, there is a recession, and our personal wealth, we have invested in some technology companies, the same guys that came up with pocket radios, but we'll see if that pays off or not in the in the hopefully near future. Now, there's a couple things to tackle. I believe we have looked at all the notifications and news, so let's go ahead and start from the outside and head inwards. Let's deal with Lenkurg over here first. What do we got? Finalization of the H3 highway contract. Wonderful. Closing a consulate is also cost savings. I mean, technically, yes, but when it's paired with the movement of military troops, it's definitely a signal. It's definitely a sign. And yeah, the complexity of this game definitely comes from like all of the choices and knowing the potential implications or ramifications of a choice and kind of thinking things through. That's definitely where a lot of the complexity comes through. Lafette, how's it going? Hope you're having a good day. All right, let's take a look at this. After driving through the cliffside roads, we arrived in Lenkurg. There, cheerful citizens greeted us, and the local government officials escorted us to the city hall. Here, a significant meeting about the H3 project would take place. Several construction companies sent their representatives to the city hall. Even though Gus Manger couldn't make the meeting, I had Simon Hall and Lilius Graf by my side. And just as a reminder, we do like Lilius. Her politics more or less align with us. I know, Haldor, pocket radios. Can you imagine? What year is this? Can you imagine? I like watching this so party can read everything. It's a lot to read. I cannot make myself read everything again. That's fair, classified. I will continue to read everything. Yeah, a bit of a text-heavy game, being a text-based RPG, I suppose. Record players in our pockets? Don't be ridiculous, Nico. How can you fit a record in your pocket? Simon Hall. Let me close my notes over here. I said, let me close. Thank you. Besides starting our economic recovery, the travel time by road will drop by more than a half, Mr. President. This project will improve the Agenland region. I've lived with these people and seen them suffer. Again, just as a reminder, Agenland is this northern province of ours. It has been repeatedly just like ignored by past, oh dear, what's the word? Administrations. And so it's impoverished. It's not well developed. The roads are bad. The infrastructure is bad. It's got all sorts of issues. So that's what she's kind of hinting at over here, and that's part of the reason why we invested in this highway project as well, to sort of make this area a bit more interesting to investors and whatnot. I live with these people and seen them suffer. This will improve the. I mean, I agree with both of them, but you know what? Since I like Lilius, I hope so. Lilius is what I shall say. The aim to economically strengthen this weak region will be partially accomplished. According to my estimations, this project will give about 50,000 citizens from Agenland employment. Okay, not bad. What will it take to stop the recession? What kind of end results? Failure is not an option. That's true. Do you need additional support? We'll let them ask for it. Let's see. What will it take to stop the recession? Well, look, what more must we do? Apart from build a highway. I mean, a lot, obviously. This is just the beginning. We will need to follow this project up with several other economic investment projects. That depends on the government budget. We need to make sure we have enough money to fund critical ministries, but still have money left for investments. Yes. Simon searched the documents he was holding and found the one he was looking for. I have the overview of the companies here. Simon handed the files over to me. I looked at the files. 3 corporations were listed. The Sordland State Corporation, Underhall Construction, and Taurus Holding. Again, I think I'm going to give it to the state, but let's take a look at Taurus Holding over here. Founded in 1946 by Geralt Faith, Taurus Holding is a new and entrepreneurial private company that uses cutting-edge technology from Arcasia to reduce construction costs and prices. I don't know about... I mean, why do we want to strengthen a foreign... a foreign nation, right? Thank you for subscribing, James Preston, Mikhail Polov. Oh, is this YouTube doing this little catch up over here? We good? Now we're good. No, yeah, no. Oh, we got more coming. Now, why is Chatbot not keeping up with me over here? Give me a second here, folks. Not gonna take but a second, because it helps me stay up to date with notifications as they come through. Because it's how I can keep a track of names of people subscribing and things like that. So I apologize. Hopefully, it'll start popping up again. Oh, there's PartyBot again. Oh, no. I apologize to all of you that are subscribing, and I'm not being able to keep up with your names. But we have... Damn, I don't have... Yeah, see, I don't have notifications anywhere else. God damn it. This is really unfortunate. Carol Zubek, Lucas G. Smith, thank you for subscribing. And we got more coming through. Chad Unru, thank you for subscribing. Again, I feel like what's going on over here is YouTube's catching up with all the subscriptions from however long. It's weird that it does that. I'm going to go ahead and actually hide the notifications right now, because I feel like it'll be a bunch, especially with some of the new videos that are out there right now, getting a lot of subscribers per minute. Go ahead and just hide that for now. I apologize, folks. What a Friday! What a start to the year! what a January! Right, so. The Sordland State Corporation is probably what I'm going to go with again. They are our own, founded in 1891. It is the main government corporation that is tasked with running public construction contracts in Sordland. Again, generate employment, keep the money within the nation. Underhall Construction they basically took themselves out of consideration because of their attempt at bribing me, right? So those guys are more or less out the running. I think we're just going to stick with the Sordland State Corporation. With that said, though, we'll of course have a conversation with everybody. We'll of course see, what everybody has to offer and what these guys have to say about what everybody has to offer, and make a decision accordingly. Me just being paranoid, isn't that the constant? BM, how's it going, man? And Carrie, what did you miss? I mean, yeah, not too much. I don't think we're just taking a look at who's going to have the contract to build. The highway project that we'd invested in previously. Gonna unhide the alert box. Yeah, it looks like we're good. Okay, cool. Looks like we're good. All right, Lilius. I reviewed them. I also took the liberty of asking the mayor of Arvory to give his opinion on the matter, Arvory being the capital of the region. Now, which corporation should we talk about? Well, tell me first about the Sordland State Corporation. The respected Sordland State Corporation, also known as the SSC, was founded in 1891. It is the main state corporation tasked with running the day-to-day construction services of our country. The SSC is one of our most trusted and honorable companies. They have served us a long time. I've worked with them on several occasions. All right, that's promising. That's promising. What happened to the port? Oh, we haven't got to that point yet. It would fulfill your initial election promise of using a state-dominant planned economy to improve the bleak economic prospects. Okay, that's good. And they have the experience and the manpower to pull off a project like this. Beautiful. Well, that makes my decision a lot easier. Let's pause for a second. Secondly, they're the only company to have worked in the Agenland region out of all 3 corporations, and that really tells you something, doesn't it? That really tells you something. Nisarg, thank you, buddy. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day otherwise, and a wonderful weekend ahead of you too. Yeah, that kind of tells you something when our, filthy rich corporations that are able to invest in stuff have left this unfortunate part of the nation, to the vultures, to the dogs, as it were, tells you something. The outdated construction methods that they use concern me. They are several decades behind. Yeah, man, they're from the 1800s. The experience they bring to the table is beneficial. I don't agree with the negative statements for the SSC. The record clearly shows completed contracts with thousands of employees who have more than 20 years of experience. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's good. That's good. I like the SSC, but want to hear about the others. Tell me about Taurus Holding. It was founded in 1946 and is owned by the entrepreneur Geralt Face. Or Faiz, maybe. It is a new holding company whose subsidiaries use cutting-edge technology from Arcasia to reduce construction costs and prices. They are known to provide for their workers who are part of the labor union of Sordland. Okay. Interesting. There are other things Taurus does very well, like providing consultants for the state corporations, but I can't vouch for their infrastructure construction at all. Alright. Am I winning? I'm not losing. I can say that. I'm not losing. Not yet. So, depends on if that counts. I'm gonna go ahead and say yes. Let's see if this all goes sideways now that I've jinxed myself. Over here. Okay, why shouldn't we go with Taurus? Give me some of that sweet echo chamber. Well, one of our promises would be respected. We promise to focus on the planned economy to create jobs. This company is completely private and directed by a non-government board. Do we even remember if they worked on a mega project at all? Lilius sighed. Choosing this company is too much of a risk for an important project like this, especially when a proven SSC exists. Yeah, okay, I agree. Their capabilities matter more than the history they have. We need to make an unbiased decision. We shouldn't risk our first project. There's too much at stake here. See, both of these are unbiased. In my opinion, both of these are not the result of any biased opinion, but only one of them makes that very clear, and that's really unfortunate. We shouldn't risk our first project, though. There's way too much at stake over here. And again, the going with the SSC fulfills one of our election promises as well, right? They took a joint contract in Arcasia for restructuring the highway intersection of one of the major cities. It went well, but it is their only large-scale success. Yeah, that's not enough of a track record. Not enough of a track record. If we're going to try a different company, this is the most unique. The project manager from Taurus Holding mentioned that they would be able to finish the project with the allocated funding. They are the only company who found the budget sufficient, making them a cheaper alternative. They're worth considering, is the best I'll give them. They're worth considering. No, I don't want to know about Underhaul Construction. No, damn it. I wanted to actively not ask about Underhaul Construction. Planet Zoo is coming tomorrow. We'll be back at it. Didn't quite feel up to recording when I was going to record the last session, but it should be coming back tomorrow. Don't go with the state company. Too late, Sant. I've made my mind up. We're going with the state company. Going with the state company for sure. And James Shepard, so glad it's being streamed again. First time catching a stream live. Well, I'm glad you can make it. And yeah, I'm glad to be back in it as well. All right, Underhaul Construction. Sorry, Nico, why do I not want to know about Underhaul Construction? Because they're the guys who tried to bribe me, and I don't want to give them the time of day. The real estate and construction giant was founded in 1925. They expanded during the economic boom of the 30s. Picking this corporation would go against our planned economy policy. The CEO of Underhaul is Chris Scarr, the mayor of Conriat. He sold half of his shares a few years ago. Oh, okay. I had to work with Underhaul Construction before in Hallsword. They took several contracts for the central station renovation and left much to be desired. The H3 project shouldn't be left to them. Okay, that's good. How was your experience with them? Out of all three, this is the company I trust the least. They seem to fail at respecting the contract terms of their workers, likely to cause trouble. I'm not too sure about trusting them with a contract, but at least they have worked on several mega projects and always delivered on time. Working conditions must be respected. This doesn't inspire confidence. I agree. The workers were undocumented Agnolian and Oezek immigrants with no papers, a clear violation of our laws. According to them, the reason of the bad labor conditions was because of the tight completion schedule, which still doesn't justify the situation. Yeah, that's a bunch of crap, man. Get that out of here. Underhall has specifically mentioned their solid track record and highlighted that the cost of the project would be more than expected for a project of this scale, but finished on time. All right. I have settled on Underhall. No, I am not sure about Underhall construction. Not at all. I mean, I am sure about Underhall construction. I don't want them. 100% sure. It was time to make a decision about which company to award the H3 highway contract to. So again, going with the SSC just as a reminder. Yeah, Underhall, more like underhand, damn right. Sounds like the kind of company that abuses worker unions and assassinates magistrates. Yeah, basically, yeah. They definitely... What kind of an excuse is that? Oh, the timeline was too strict. There's mass unemployment in the nation. Don't tell me you didn't have... Don't tell me the timeline was too strict. You could have hired more people. You're one of the richest companies in the entire nation. God. So, one will be late, one will go over budget, and one is technically a foreign company. Taurus is the foreign company. The other thing as well though is that the SSC is the only choice here that matches our promise. It is like our election promise, and that's something that we have to stay big on and focused on. So I'm going to stick with the SSC over here. The thing is though, they were like neither here nor there in terms of, if I recall correctly, they were neither here nor there in terms of where they sat on the budget. Only Taurus Holding straight up said, this is enough money. SSC didn't say anything, and Underhall Construction said, we need more. Don't forget that this play is based on a state-managed economy. My playthroughs have been free market or sort of mixed. Yeah, I mean, again, we're going state-managed. Well, I do want to go kind of mixed, but I want essential things to be handled by the government. And I feel like this highway, not only is this highway construction essential in that sense, it's also essential to the image of our party. Again, Taurus is a foreign company, and I see no reason to invest in others when our own, we need to provide employment for our own people, etc., etc., etc. And again, campaign promise. Taurus is also a private entity. And they lack experience. They've never done a mega project. Let's not forget. The SSC is kind of the mixed bag. I'm gonna stick with SSC. Good. Sorry. Good that we are staying consistent to our economic strategy. Simon signed a certain section. Oh, signed rather than sighed. Just assuming he's exhausted. Signed a certain section of the dossier and fixed his glasses. Very well, Mr. President. The contract will be awarded to Sordish State Corporation. Very glad that you have made this choice. I can tell from my experience that we will be very satisfied with this corporation. The company will be notified later today, and the construction will begin immediately after. Taurus, more like Boris. With a name like Taurus, I suspect some some bullshit is certainly involved. Yeah, whatever, I'm sure. We'll be fine. I don't think YouTube will demonetize me for saying that. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? But I do suspect a whole lot of bull. I read somewhere that this is supposed to be Turkey. Nah, it's a made-up part of the world. I don't find any... You can draw comparisons to a lot of real-world counterparts. I don't think... I think... yeah, I don't know specifically if it's supposed to be Turkey, but you can definitely draw a lot of real-world counterparts. They've intentionally gone with something vague, though. Could you get assassinated in this game? I don't know. Alright, I think we are off to a good start. Are we? My expectations for a grand opening ceremony are late next year. Very well. I better get back to work then. Indeed. Thank you. This concludes this meeting. The meeting ended, and we spent the remainder of the day attending events in Lenkirk. It was nice to enjoy the natural beauty of Agenland and to eat some good fish. Good stuff. I'm pretty happy about our investment up north there, and it looks like we are making, this is a progress bar, so we'll see how much progress we make. We've got, what's the deal over here? Oh, notification. Local police working with nationalists. Wonderful. One of our agents acting as a young swords member had an encounter with two members of the local police force in Anrika, Alson Bolar and Vic Nezi. According to the report, the policeman tried to bribe the agent to burn down a store that belongs to a known Communist Party member and to instigate further violence. We have detained the policemen on charges of corruption. Nice. Yeah, Nico, I mean, with live streams for sure, the super chats and stuff like that are... super chats are almost always infinitely more like important than the monetization. But yeah, it comes natural to like be careful about YouTube wagging its finger, because you're like always just a hair away from between demonetization and being flagged for something, you know. And the latter is a bigger problem. Seems like Armenia, Azerbaijan. I mean, it's. I think it only feels that way because of the geography. You can draw some parallels, but there are a lot of parallels from a political standpoint to a lot of countries in a lot of parts of the world. All right, what do we got going on? The Hallsword Post. Construction begins for H3 Highway. Sordland State Corporation has been awarded a 2-year contract for an extensive infrastructure project. Subsequent design and construction work as part of the H3 Highway expansion project in Sordland. In addition to the geotechnical ground investigation, SSC will provide the design of all civil structures, including ground retaining walls and earthworks for the highway. SSC said it could build the line faster than the deadline and at a much lower cost, according to a letter seen by The Economists, but opposition leader Richter had warned letting SSC build H3 would be extremely questionable. The H3 project involves the widening of hundreds of kilometers of existing motorway between Lackhaven and Arvory, including an open tunnel nearly 3 kilometers long. The highway will pass from Lenkirk to Arvory and later will be expanded to the Agnolian capital, Stalport. So it'll go from here, up to here, up to here. Capital is Stalport. I should have... Pretty sure Arvory is the capital. Stalport? Where even is Stalport? Should have clicked the... Should have clicked the link to check. Yeah, what? Unless I'm blind, feel free to point it out to me, folks. You can get assassinated. Just make sure that you don't. Oh, okay. Is it the old guard? Okay. All right. Fair. I guess. I guess we can get assassinated. Good to know that is a possibility. Oh, Stalport. Oh, sorry, the Agnolia. See, this confuses me often. Agenland and Agnolia. Like, Agnolia is a foreign nation. And our highway construction over here does improve our potential relations with these guys. That's why I was thrown off. I was looking for Stalport here. It's in a foreign nation. Thank you. What's going on over here? Meeting with Marcel Koronti. So, as a reminder, Marcel Koronti is a businessman, philanthropist, and entrepreneur, the son of Konrad Koronti. He just recently became the CEO of the HOS conglomerate. Again, it's the largest media conglomerate in our nation. So, you know what that means, obviously. Having the media in your pocket as a political figure has its value, but it's also a sketchy thing to do. We were headed to the meeting location set by Marcel Koronti. The motorcade was made up of the most confidential and trustworthy team. After a few hours of driving along River Eskel, we took a turn before entering Conrad. The darkness started setting in as we drove up to a hill. Where are we, Serge? Where are you taking me? This is it. This is where we get assassinated. We're nearing the HOS Country Club, Mr. President. Country Club. We'll be there shortly. We arrived and the big iron gates of the country club opened. It was huge and outright extravagant. The main building, inspired by lesbian architecture, was lit from all sides. It was rather chilly. I was approached by Peter Vectern and Lucien Galade. So Peter Vectern, my vice president and good friend for a very long time, and Lucien Galade, chief strategist. I hope the journey was comfortable. Anything to keep you away from home? Oh my god. Location is very remote indeed. No, I can't think of comfort when our country is descending into chaos. But when you put it like that. Yeah, man, that's how I'm going to put it. Things are falling apart, and here we are talking to some media head honcho. God, stupid meeting. I don't even want to be here. We entered the building. After opening the marble-engraved wooden door, we were greeted by two tall women. The receptionist led us to the meeting room upstairs. Marcel was standing by the window looking outside at the beautiful complex. He turned around to have a quick look at us both. He was a really handsome man with fair hair. He walked towards me with his hand reached out for a handshake. Well, I'm not going to be rude, reach out for a handshake. That needed a pre-meeting for sure. Probably could have been an email. I shook his hand. He had a firm grip. It is such a pleasure to meet you in person, Mr. Koronti. I appreciate your efforts to reach out for a mutually beneficial friendship. Thanks for hosting us. I admired your father very much. May he rest in peace. Welcome. Your kind words have touched me, Vice President. He was indeed a great man. Please accept our condolences. We are saddened. He would have been very happy to hear this from you, Mr. President. It is time to look forward. Let's talk about our bright future. Yeah, I know, Haldor. It's, not easy. Not easy. What happened to your vice? Vice as in, like, my vice president, you mean? Yeah, that was a little weird earlier, wasn't it? Yeah, Peter. It's time to, there's much to discuss. Let's have a see. I hear you met. Trying to figure out which one of these is, like, most fitting. Let's have a seat. Again, I'm a little cagey about this conversation. I want the media to report us in a positive light, but I don't want to have paid for it, you know? That's not my approach. That's not my approach. Marcel gently pointed to the seats. We sat down around a gigantic table. Before speaking, he knocked on wood. The past months have been tumultuous, to say the least. I am glad you and your family were unharmed at the shooting. The whole incident must have been a shock for the kids. They aren't used to what we lived through back in the late 20s. I still remember when my father took us out of the country when it became too dangerous in Conriat. Such fortune he has. They were startled, but the important thing is they're safe and sound. Spare me your life story. Again, I'm not gonna be rude. Not gonna be rude. They were startled, but the important thing is they were safe and sound. Of course, that is all that matters. No family should suffer from tragedy ever again. We had enough of that. Well, I'm known to be a straightforward person, so let me get to the point without wasting your valuable time. Yes, please. It was during the Alfonso campaign when I was struck by what you've done within the party. Marcel started to look at one of the paintings at the wall. Let me be straightforward. Sit down and get to the damn point. No. Let's look at the painting. I'm a little concerned at what this is going to reveal. The famous piece depicted a giant sleeping beneath a village. The trees, rivers, and hills were all part of the giant's body. Its eyes were two caves looking up at the people. It showed daylight at the far left and nighttime at the far right. The giant seemed to be watching the village. It was totally unbeknownst to the villagers. It was a little scary. Marcel pointed his finger at me. It's a little rude. You said we will transform this nation, Mr. Rain. My conglomerate has a way of doing things, and I don't want them to change. Ho. So I want to cooperate with you. Hang on a second. Please explain further. You might have the people's support now, Mr. President, but what happens when you make mistakes? Everybody makes mistakes. What is that supposed to mean? Let's hear his point, Mr. Vice President. Being a president in this country means having many enemies. Enemies that would resort to anything to bring you down. Let's say these enemies caused a scandal or leaked sensitive information from the administration. These would be destructive when they were released. If they were released. Oh, man. Oh, damn. Am I calling him out on potentially just trying to threaten me over here, or should I let him keep going? I feel like if I let him keep going, he'll dig himself a hole, or he'll climb himself out of the hole that he's currently digging himself, you know? Because he's certainly digging himself a hole. I feel like his implication over here is he's got friends in the in the administration that he will actively use against me. I'm gonna have him continue, Sky. I'm gonna have him continue. Yes, Sant. All right, keep going. Keep digging that hole, or climb out of it. Continue. Assume that the articles would actually protect your integrity no matter what. Try to imagine how up to 5 million people I reach will not lose faith in you. Okay. What do you want in return? I want two things, Mr. President. Number one is a guarantee from you that the Reign administration won't meddle in HOS affairs no matter what happens. That is not a chance in hell, man. Not a chance in hell. What? Number two is a simple gentleman's favor for the future. Let me prove my services to you first, and I'm sure you won't disapprove when the time comes. Oh, yeah, no, not a chance. Like, get out of here. Get lost. Get lost. This is far too risky for me. It's... Also, how do I know that I can trust you? I'm torn between 1 and 3. Chat, what do you think? 1 or 3? 1 or 3? I don't trust this man. It's far too risky, because how do I know I can trust him? Ease, how's it going, buddy? Having a good day? Having a good Friday? End of the work week, I hope? He will give you the media support. Oh, no, I know what he has to offer, for sure. He's, the head of a massive media conglomerate. And like I said earlier, like, that's definitely got value to make sure at least one newspaper and a radio station is only speaking well of me. But at the same time, if he asks me to do something that I don't like, and I have to stand up against it, then that same media company will burn me to the ground and burn my entire administration to the ground, potentially also revealing this very conversation, but making me seem like the villain. So lining up with him is definitely not in my best interest. I'm seeing a lot of 3s, a couple 1s, a couple 2s. Let's go ahead and let's see. Okay, how do I know that I can trust you? My circle advised against this. They don't even know we're meeting, Mr. President. We both put ourselves at risk here, but I'm willing to trust you. That doesn't answer my question. The question is, are you willing to trust me and accept this offer? This man's dodging questions. At the moment, 3 radical newspapers and the liberals hate you. Seems like you need allies. Yeah. You've been awfully silent, Peter. Peter leaned to my ears and whispered, I think he's getting more out of this than we are. The issue tied to his request must be so important for him that he is offering this risky deal. Yup. We need to be cautious. If we get caught or this gets out, I can't imagine the consequences. Exactly. You take the deal but screw him over once you get the chance and are powerful. Can you imagine the president or prime minister in, like, the real world paying the media, controlling the media to only say good things about you, and you as a citizen don't know any better? And then one day, it comes out that all the news you've been reading for the last 3 years, 4 years, whatever the election cycle is, all the news you have been reading has been tainted. Like, that's very problematic. We can't just screw him over once we're more powerful. We're still a democracy. If that gets out, you don't get votes. So, do we have a deal? Now he's interrupting us. And now I don't like this guy. I don't like this guy. No, we're not going to accept this. Not a chance. It would be crazy if the news was actually propaganda. That's how the media works. Yeah. But again, right, like, I guess I would rather be an assassinated idealist than than be the very thing that I swore to destroy, right? Like, you got to break the cycle. You got to break the cycle. The radical, the newspapers that hate me so far, as my policies come into action, there's a chance that they'll align with me naturally. And I would much rather that. He's not that bad, you say. He's not that bad. Let's see. The HSC is a multi-industry corporation worth tens of billions of Sordland Ren and is part of the Big Four, the 4 largest companies in Sordland. They're involved in nearly all industries, but only have a monopoly in the media industry through the ownership of Sordland Today and the Sordland Broadcasting Corporation. It was founded by Marcel Koronti, the first modern Sordland entrepreneur. Sordland citizens employed by HOS enjoy many benefits, such as huge salary bonuses, free private healthcare, and free housing. In the last decade, a leadership question has engulfed the organization, which slowed down its revenue, but it still remains a behemoth that can influence the economy as well as the perception of the society on certain issues. After the sudden death of Conrath in 1954, his son was elected to be the chief executive officer by a majority in the board. He's previously served as the chairman of HOS Resorts. Oh, God, Resort. Oh, man, this company is gross. Perla School of Business, master's degree. Arcade University in Arcasia. He's foreign educated. 1940, he joined Sordland Broadcasting Corporation as a vice president in charge of advertising, before being transferred to HOS, where nepotism helped him climb the ranks, no doubt. I don't know, man. Again, I understand they can help me, but at the same time, that the favor that he wants that he's not telling me about, that's no. That doesn't fly for me. That doesn't fly for me. I have to reject. Okay, listen. I'm going to make this very clear. My reasoning here. He interrupted the president while he was talking to his vice president. Literally the only reason I need right now. But more realistically, he's asking me to never, ever, ever ask them to go against their ways. What the hell does that mean? And finally, he's going to ask me a favor. What is he, the Godfather? Yeah, he's trying to get a hook on me. Get out. I have to reject. Not a chance, man. Not a chance. This is prime scandal material. I didn't even want this conversation in the first place. Such a shame, Mr. President. And here I thought we were going to be good friends. We can be good friends, but that's not what friendship is, buddy. It's a shame, really. I regret coming here to see you. Goodbye, Mr. Koronti. I have elected the way of pain, indeed. Let's leave, says Peter. We left the complex and entered the car. I thought that would have ended better. He pushed it too far. The threats were unacceptable. See, there you go. Even the guy who was like for it understands that this ain't right. Let's head back to Hallsword. Waste of my time. I got more important things to do than have a media conglomerate threaten me. Sordland today. Risky highway project. The government has announced a new mega infrastructure project to help alleviate the symptoms of recession. When the Minister of Economy announced the launch of one of the most contested construction projects in Sordland, a new highway from Lockhaven to the Agnolian capital, Stallport, he said, "This project will cross the poorest areas of Sordland, developing the region, improving foreign trade, and increasing access to employment. The contract for the project was given to the old and outdated Sordish State Corporation with the decision of the President. Mega projects such as the construction of ports, transport lines, including railways and motorways and power plants, typically cost billions of Sordish Ren. They are difficult to manage due to their scale, high levels of complexity, and substantial impact on communities. The environment and state governments... on communities, the environment, and state governments. The decision of such a vital project to be given to SSC should not have been taken so easily, as they suffer from an inefficient bureaucracy that often causes delays. The management of the old company is not based on merit, but political connections. Agenland has long been neglected as a region and was in need of serious investments in its infrastructure. While this is positive news, it is doubtful that this project was worth the money and time it will consume. Oh, boo-hoo. Cry me a river. It'll be great for the nation. You just can't see into the future. Alright, back at Hallsword. We've got the economic relief plan. Oh, this is going to cost me something, isn't it? It's going to cost me something. With the assistance of the National Business Council and the Central Bank, Simon Hall put forward a country-wide relief plan to mitigate the economic hardships that are being felt. We can either provide stimulus checks for people in need or bail out businesses under serious financial strain, or decide not to approve the plan. See, here's the thing. Now, I've been told repeatedly, and of course this makes perfect sense, that it is good to have a bit of government budget set aside for something, right? The problem is that something could be anything, right? Like, this could be that something that I should be saving up for, or it could be something down the line. Now, the thing is that we can go into a deficit for our budget. This can go into the negatives, so we have a bit of wiggle room. Bail out businesses under financial strain. I don't know, man. Like, it doesn't say bail out small businesses. Yeah, it does not indicate small or medium businesses. The word bailout always makes me extremely nervous as well. I feel like stimulus. The thing is, though, you have to realize that a bunch of people are unemployed in the country. So even if I bail out a bunch of businesses, it's not like they're suddenly going to employ all the unemployed. It doesn't say small or medium. It just says business. Don't apply 2008 bias to your choice. Yeah, like, I feel like stimulus checks is the way to go here. Because, like, you got people out there. Let's think about it for a second here. If we bail out the businesses, right, it means that they are floundering, big businesses as well as small and medium. If it gave me a choice to bail out specifically small and medium, all right, there's something to consider there, I suppose. But it's not like a big business, or even a small business, for that matter, that's been given money will be able to employ more people and, you know, spread that wealth. Whereas just giving everybody money, to some of y'all's point, like, they might be able to potentially reinvest that. I don't know about starting a business with a stimulus check. That's probably not likely, but it's at least going to keep people fed and clothed for a little bit longer while we try to solve the bigger issue, I guess. Or I could just not enact the plan and let everybody just suffer. As you said, unemployment is high. These people don't have cash to spend. Yeah, that's the other thing, is like, if I bail out businesses, great, we have more, I don't know, great, more shoes are being produced. No one can buy them. That's not fueling the economy, right? Right, exactly, Classified. If I give the money to the people will spend that money on what they need, and that money gets indirectly given to the businesses that are more important, rather than the businesses that, you know, I don't know who this includes. Save for later. Depends on the amount of money. Probably last a month's rent. Depends, right? It's hard to know what the number. Like, both. Look at this. Both of them will impact government budget by the same amount. Maybe that gives consideration. Give a man a fish versus give a man a fishing rod, etc., etc. Well, if we give stimulus checks, then they can go buy their fishing rods, and then that fishing rod company will make profits that they can then use to, you know, you see where I'm going with that? Help people now, but think of the businesses later. That's maybe what I'm thinking. Why give a man a fish when you can give him a fishing rod? I wouldn't give him either. I'll give him the money to buy the fishing rod so that the fishing rod company can make more fishing rods and employ more people. I can't bail out every company, but I can save all the well, quote unquote save all the people, and allow them to fuel the businesses that need the help. Failed businesses and people without money versus people with money and businesses that are sustainable. Failed businesses and people without money versus people with money and businesses that are sustainable. People with money and businesses that are sustainable is choice one in my head. I hope I'm reading that right. I think we're going to go with the stimulus checks. And if it all catches fire, giving money to the people is just making them dependent on the state. I mean, giving money to businesses is just making them dependent on the state. It's the same argument. If a business is in a position where it needs to be bailed out, then, you know, it can't turn to us. It needs to provide a necessary service for the people in times of hardship, and it'll float. Yeah, we're going for one. I think we're going for one. Yeah, okay, I thought I read you right, Haldor. I wasn't 100% sure because of the order you said put it in, but that's what I'm thinking. People with money, giving money to the businesses that they need to survive right now. And survive doesn't just mean food and clothes and gas. I saw someone mention, good point. But it also means luxury, right? Like, just because you're going through a hard time doesn't mean you need to suffer through a hard time, right? You buy a chocolate bar, you buy a, I don't know, go to Blockbuster. It's the 50s. They had Blockbuster in the 50s, right? I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, it definitely helps across the board. It can fail both ways. I'm going to go with the stimulus checks. Done. Decision made. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, no worries, Haldor. I was pretty sure I understood you right, but I wanted to double check. I'd like to double check. I do exactly. We're also the planned economy, money for the people suits it. I think it's the right call. We'll see. I mean, if the nation catches fire, so be it. Like I said, stimulus checks distributed. You see, it's green. That's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. Arthur, maybe more. Public infrastructure when you get the chance. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a good idea, but people spending money will help businesses in the short term. Down the line, we can take a look at providing more direct assistance to the businesses. You just pissed off the liberal conservatives and the nationalists. Good work. Yeah, you know what? They can go jump off a cliff. I'm okay with making people happy, but not at the cost of, like, my morality, I suppose. If everyone buys at one place and they get a monopoly, then prices will... I mean, this is money across the nation, right? They most certainly can't buy at one place. Will the big corporations come out on top? I think time will tell. Time will tell. And the highway will help businesses anyway. That's also true. Just you wait. He'll be loved and assassinated. Yeah. As long as the people love me. As long as the people love me. On which note, the funeral of Bernard Circus. Hopefully an opportunity to gain some love. A decision to attend the funeral? No, we're definitely going to go. The death of Bernard Circus has shocked the country, and his funeral will be held in Dare among a large crowd of sympathizers. Circus was not only a communist poet, but also an elected MP that had a voice. A state funeral has been organized to honor him. The question is whether the president and the administration will attend the funeral or not. Of course we will. A political figure got murdered in cold blood. Attend the funeral. Absolutely. There's like no choice there. There's no choice there. Is it already happening? I think it is. Well, first of all, we have a notification over here. Read the report from Hallsword. Kesaro Kibner demands emergency to be called. Leader of the NFP, Kesaro Kibner, has demanded an emergency be called to address the increasing political violence in the country. He stated that without a declaration of emergency, Sordland would be destabilized and the integrity of the country would be damaged even further. Now, I imagine he wants a state of emergency so that not too much change can happen. Is the vibe I'm getting from this guy. What's going on over here? The Economist. Unemployment and checks. The Economists, of course. The administration has fallen for populism and the idea that giving people money will solve the problems of the economy overall. It is hard to grasp where these ideas come from, especially when long-term job growth and employment is what the country needs to secure in order to have a stable economy. What is the plan here? People will be able to pay their rents for a few months, and then they will fall into the same unemployment trap due to a lack of job availability or security. The businesses can't carry all the weight of the declining economy on their own shoulders and employ people without help from the government. The administration needs to reevaluate their way out of the recession with realistic methods. If my decision has upset the economists, that means I've made the right decision. In my liberal game, I literally fused the SNP with the PFJP. I assume you can do the same with other parties. Oh, interesting, interesting. I would accept being assassinated if only I could find someone to love me. Oh, no. Oh, that's dark. Shame the radical hasn't run a story. Yeah, right, that's the thing. It's like, I think getting there... The thing is, the party that we are a part of has a bad, like, history as far as appealing to some of these newspapers. So we have to turn that around before I think they'll speak well of us. And that'll take a lot of consistent effort, I imagine. All right, let us attend this funeral here. Dark clouds were looming over Dare. They looked daunting as our convoy approached the century-old cemetery. It looked like it was going to rain. Certainly fitting weather for a funeral. As expected, Bernard Circus passing maintained its media traction, and all of Sordland was paying attention to the ceremony, especially to what I would say in my speech today. Sir, we have arrived. Raindrops were running down the car window when Serge opened my door and held an umbrella over my head. As soon as I got out, flashes from the cameras blinded me. It's okay, Serge. I will hold my own umbrella. As you wish, sir. He handed me the umbrella and started waiting next to the car with his own. Oh, I didn't mean for you to stay behind, man. Jesus. Peter and Carl exited from their own cars in the convoy. They made their way over to me. Peter being my vice president again, and Carl being my chief of police. Anton? Mr. President? I just wanted to inform you that the perimeter is clear and secured completely. There is no one getting in or out without our knowledge. Good stuff. Good work. Thank you, Carl. Again, we don't want to... we're not a douche. This feels like a trap. No, I think we'll be okay. It's a funeral. Things are secure. I have no reason to distrust my chief of police. Carl bowed his head with respect. Good. If anything happens to Anton, you'll have to answer to the First Lady. And trust me, Carl, you don't want that. Peter let out a laugh, which drew some attention from bereaving attendees. My God, Peter, my God, dude, there's a time and a place. I don't think any of us want that. Oh, no. You know, Real World Party Elite is the type of person who likes a bit of levity in dark times. Does this guy look like he likes levity in dark times? Red is not sus. Going on a date. Wish me luck. See you next time, party. Well, good luck. Stay safe. You know, use a mask. Use protection, I guess, is the generic way of saying it. But have a wonderful Friday evening. Good luck with the date. Enjoy. Did I keep immigration relaxed? I did, yes. I did keep immigration relaxed. You think he's a zombie, Haldor? Might be. I feel like it would either be 3 or 4 over here. I don't want to tell him he's being inconsiderate. He's my... I think he knows, you know. Let's go with 3 here. It does seem the most realistic, yeah. I'm gonna go with 3. Yeah, the music is amazing. The music's amazing. Especially when the tension rises. 4, because he's a friend. He is, but a friend would understand this gesture, you know? You're right. Sorry. Yeah. See, we're buddies. We're all buddies. It sounds like an assassination plot. It started to rain. Wasn't it already raining? I guess it started to rain harder. Several illegible voices were heard from Carl's radio. Unintelligible voices, I think I mean, were heard from Carl's radio. He stepped out to reply and returned shortly. We have a small problem, sir. Oh, come on, man. A few, 5 to be exact, Red Youth members are here to attend the funeral. They apparently said they wish to give their respects to their fallen comrade. Yeah, that's fine. Should we let them in? Do you think they pose a security threat? No. They were thoroughly searched. It looks like they really are here to attend the funeral. Then, yes, let them in. Now it seems like a trap. As you command. Let's head over. They're about to start. We walked towards the crowd, circled around the grave. Everyone in attendance was wearing black in mourning. The rain started pouring heavily. Bernard's widow and daughter were in the front row, staring at the coffin with a mixture of disbelief, confusion, and above all, a cold, unforgiving sadness. Both of their eyes were very red and swollen from weeping. Before taking my place to observe the ceremony, I gave my condolences to Bernard's wife and his daughter, who looked at me. She reminded me of Deanna. When the religious ceremony was done, I was invited by the priest to deliver my speech. I took the podium. I felt like I had a lump in my throat. I couldn't get the daughter's eyes out of my head. Today we are mourning Bernard Circus, a father, a husband, and a loyal servant of this country. Towards the back of the crowd, I spotted the members of the Red Youth, wearing red shirts and black bands of mourning on their arms. They seemed ruly and were respectfully bowing their heads after the dead. There was a complete silence except for the raindrops. Oh, okay. This could be interesting. Go red or lose your head. Oh my lord, Jazzy B. I mean, they came in unarmed. One of their literal leaders was assassinated. They're allowed to come in here and pay their respects. I don't think that's too much trust. I think that's a fair amount of trust. Though yes, the music does tell me something's about to go down. Yeah, I'm leaning towards 3 as well, Spindle. This is a great loss for all of us. I don't mind that. It's tough. See, because, okay, just as a reminder, this man is not just a political figure. He is also a poet. He was, like, a poet, a novelist, a short story writer, and a politician. He isn't just a political figure. He is a cultural and social figure as well for our people. Let's see. That's what's leading me towards this is a great loss for all of us. I'm seeing a lot of 3s, 3 and 4. I see a 2. I will confess that I disagreed with him almost entirely, but it doesn't mean he deserved this. Our country can be a better place. That seems a little aggressive to start with. If there's something like that down the line, maybe, but it definitely seems a little aggressive to start a eulogy with. Regardless of his ideology, this was a heinous act made towards a good man. We must end this cycle of violence. You know what? Let's make this a vote. Let's make this a vote. I'm torn. It's gonna be a vote between 1, 3, and 4. All right. Where are you? Hang in there, folks. I'm gonna get like a proper voting thing up so we can actually catch the numbers and stuff. It's been a while since we've done this as the poll. All right. Voting on. So option number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's start the vote. So again, folks, just as a reminder, the way to vote is by typing an exclamation mark, the word vote. You put a space bar in, and then you type the number. Now, keep in mind that voting uses the indexing format, so it starts with 0. Yeah, like Jazzy B did or like I did. Sant, make sure you follow that format because otherwise it won't count the vote. And just as a reminder, I will not be going with 2. So if you vote for 2, it is a vote for nothing. So just keep that in mind because I already made that clear before I put the poll up. We will not be going with 2 at all. That's out of the question. 1, 3, and 4 are all up for grabs. Get rid of the 0 on your vote there, Haldor. Otherwise, it won't count. Oh, I see you got up first. All right, we're good. Gonna leave it up for a couple seconds. I'm gonna take a quick sip of water over here, and then we'll take a look at the situation. I love that there are people voting for 2, even though I mean, you're absolutely free to, of course, but I am not going with number 2. If it's the winning choice, I will go with the second choice. Just to be crystal clear. I don't know if I can be any clearer. I mean, 3. So the reason why I'm okay with 3 and not with 2 as far as highlighting the differences is because 2 is just like, look, I didn't like this guy at all. Whereas 3 is like, it doesn't matter what he thought. For any man, I would say the same thing, right? For any man who was a good man, I would say the same thing. Whereas the first one is just like, look, I don't like this guy, but this ain't right. You see the difference in tone there? Yeah. Again, it's a little confusing because of how the voting works. But I saw one vote come for 2, so I want to make very clear. I wish. Like, I understand that for programmers and people who are familiar with programming, 0, 1, like, starting with 0 makes sense. But for the rest of the world, not so much. Default Alex plays. Hey, how's it going? I'm going to give it another, 10 seconds, folks. Another 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. I'll be honest, I'm surprised with this end result. I am quite surprised with this end result. It looks like the winner here is, he was a true comrade, and he fought for what he believed in, his ideal vision of Sordland, in every step of his life. Are we counting down to 1 or 0? Jazzy V, goddammit, get out of here. If I was counting down to 0, I'd have to start at 9. Which I guess I did do. Oh, damn. Yeah, looks like we're like doubling down over here. We're doubling down over here. That's not a bad idea, Nico. That's clever. That way it can be ignored. That's not a bad idea. All right. Wow. I was not expecting this to win. All right. He was a true comrade, and he fought for what he believed in, his ideal vision of Sordland, in every step of his life. The media will obliterate you if you say that. Yeah, well, that's what the people voted for. All right, the rest of it, I think I'll follow that line through. We're not going to vote for every sentence here. We'll make sure that the unfortunate events such as this will never happen again. Circus had a dream of a unified Sordland. In these next months, we need to fulfill his dream and band together. I interpret this attack as an attack against Sordland, and by extension to me personally. That sounds too self-centered. I promise you this: the blood of Bernard will not remain on this sacred ground. Whoa. It's a sudden switch in direction. Let's see. He had a dream of a unified Sordland. In the next few months, we must fulfill his dream and band together. I don't want to necessarily imply that we band together under his ideology. Unity is something I've spoken of as well during my like election process and stuff. But I feel like one is definitely like we took a huge step to the left, and now we're taking like a mini step, you know, back towards the center in terms of like what people are thinking. So yeah, we'll make sure that unfortunate events such as this will never happen again. Security for all, right? I would rather keep my I suppose dignity, if you will, intact and have everything go sideways than just appease everyone and live forever, I guess. Let us all mourn the passing of Bernard Circus and remember him well, okay? But hatred begets hatred. There's only one way to overcome this vicious cycle. We must unite against the evil of this world. I like that one. The tears of the family he left behind has a price that needs to be paid. I will not stop until it is paid in full. Oh my god, just inciting violence. No. No. Hatred begets hatred. There is only one way to overcome this vicious cycle. We must unite against the evil of this world. Absolutely. I cannot have vengeance killings on either side here. Let's stick with number 2 here. I would now like to recite one of the poems he left us. Again, let's not forget, this man is not just a political figure. He is a social figure. He is a cultural figure. It's kind of a big deal. I would now like to recite one of the poems he left us, and this is going to be interesting because I got to pick the right poem. Our only strength is the will to survive, knowing that we will perish, knowing nothing or absolute. Or, we rise toward the sun. Those who died fighting. They are now buried in the sun. No need to mourn. There is a raid to the sun. Or, they did not let us sing our songs. They are afraid of the dawn. They are afraid of hope, but our songs will be sung. Oh, I don't like that one. We rise towards the sun. Seems the most hopeful, I think. Our only strength is the will to survive, knowing that we will perish, knowing nothing or absolute. I mean, I like that outside of this situation. I feel like it's a very dark thing to say at a funeral. These are all bad. Nah, the dude was a terrible poet. He's clearly got a morbid side to him. He's also lived through some stuff, right? Like he's been through like a coup and civil war and stuff like that. Like they did not let us sing our songs. They were afraid of the dawn. They were afraid of. I'm trying to like interpret these, right? Like going back to like middle school English class. Like, oh yes, analyze this poem. What might it do? One would cause fighting. Maybe? I don't see it, but it's definitely something I'm taking into consideration. Number 3, these are all his songs, so these are all his songs. Number 3 will cause less violence. Doesn't number 3 sound like it sounds fear-mongery. You know what I mean? That's why I like 2 feels like upliftment. upliftment? Is that a word? Well, it is now. 1 or 2 will cause violence. 3rd is a protest against them. Yeah, who is them? Right? They all do. Damn, this is a... Oh, I see. Yeah, fear of change. But is that how people will take it? It does. This sounds like there's 2 sides. See, okay, here's the thing. This 3 sounds like there's 2 sides, which is not, in my head, not unity. To me, 2 is what actually sounds like hope. Like, don't think of the fallen. You know, keep looking forward, and let's continue our rise toward the sun. Hopefully, that's not an Icarus reference. The first one just seems a little, like, depressing. Why didn't I just say goodbye? I know, right? This is a funeral, no need to mourn. It's an interesting choice of words. It's his poem, though. Like, I mean, yeah, you know, it's like it's him saying, you know, move on. Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out, Jazzy. I'm trying to figure that out. Thank you would have sufficed. Yeah, I should have just walked away. Yeah, let's do a poll. I can't. You know what? They're all problematic. They're all problematic. All right. Let's see. The poem. I'm gonna go ahead and make these options a bit more obvious. I hate that the game like closes when I alt tab. I can't have the window open at the same time. I'm like titling these poems myself over here. There we go. Sure. There we go. Go for it. What do y'all think? Nah, I didn't. If you want to abstain, then just then don't vote. But there you go. The poll is up. So it's 0, 1, 2. Strength, we rise, or our songs. At least that is hopefully a bit clearer because I've got words in there rather than just numbers, because that was hella confusing. Damn, it's a tough one though, isn't it? It's a tough one. They all have positive and negative connotations. That's the thing about poetry, right? So much of it is up to context and interpretation. Oh man, it's a rough one. Getting a lot of sing our songs coming through. Bjorn, make sure you have the exclamation mark at the beginning, because otherwise it doesn't count. Just want to make sure everyone's vote gets counted, right? And classified, I don't think capital V counts the vote, unfortunately, so make sure you got a lowercase v in there. I'm gonna have a quick sip of water again. This game stresses me out in like the best possible way. I mean, I hope you all enjoy it the way I enjoy it. I like this kind of like decision making. It fits nicely because I'm so like, I'm constantly like I can often be pretty indecisive, I know, and that's something I'm working on improving, but stuff like this is a hard decision to make, I think we can all agree. It's also interesting doing this live, because some of the decisions, I'm definitely swayed by chat more often than not. So it's like some decisions that I end up making are like things that I would maybe be my second choice, for example. Our songs is a death poem, you think? Well, I'm gonna give it 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, looks like, actually, I'm not surprised by the result this time. It looks like we are, in fact, going with our songs. They did not let us sing our songs. They are afraid of the dawn. They are afraid of hope, but our songs will be sung. Time to die. Get shot right here. Happy New Year to you as well, Classified. Problem I have with this game is that you can't help but see what happens next, and before you know it, it's 3 a.m. Yeah, honestly, eh? No reaction, no response. Oh dear. A moment of silence, please. During the silence, all that was heard were the ravens. Some attendees started clapping, some crying. The coffin was lowered into the grave by the gravekeepers. After a couple minutes, Bernard's circus was with the soil. No more. As we bid farewell to Bernard, I want to close with the words every sword lives by. Amorgna Westcor. Everyone replied, Vectern sis da. Victory is close. With applause, I stepped down from the podium. It was time to leave. The widow thanked me with a soft and defeated voice before we dispersed. Defeated, On my way back to the car, I still couldn't get the eyes of Bernard's daughter, nor the faltering voice of his wife out of my head. Would Deanna, Monica, and Frank look the same way if something happened to me? Peter put his hand on my shoulder. That was a good speech. I sensed only respect from his voice. Thank you. I mean it. I know you do. Come on. It's time to go. We've got work to do. He was right. We had work to do. So much more to do. I realized that the rain stopped, and I looked up. The black clouds slowly dispersed, and sunbeams enlightened our surroundings. As someone once said, even the darkest night will end, and the sun will rise. Hope was still on the horizon. There we go. Yeah, that went well. That went well. I think that was, touching indeed. I'm pretty pleased with that, actually. I feel like that went as well as it could have. Let's see what the newspapers have to say about this. Oh dear, kind of afraid to read past the headline. They are afraid of hope, but our songs will be sung. Huge crowds of mourners, including President Rain and other senior Swordish officials, joining for a rare display of unity, poured into the heart of Dare today to bid farewell to Bernard Circus, the poet and politician who was shot and killed at the gates of the Maroon Palace after Rain's inauguration ball. After, it was during. With hundreds of police officers in riot gear on duty and traffic barred on major thoroughfares, the normally chaotic section of the city took on a somber atmosphere. Millennialist anthems played from loudspeakers along Freedom Avenue as Swordish citizens of various ethnicities stood shoulder to shoulder, many of them in tears. Others leaned out windows or over balcony railings to watch the procession. President Rain gave a unifying message to all of Sordland by attending the funeral. He paid his respects to Circus and met with his close relatives. Rain also made an emotional speech that touched thousands of attendees. He finished his speech with a quote from Circus. They did not let us sing our songs. They are afraid of the dawn. They are afraid of hope, but our songs will be sung. All right, that seems like it went over well with the Hallsword Post. Sordland today, what do you have to say? President stands together with Red Youth. Bernard Circus' funeral was held in Dare today amongst thousands of attendees. President Rain drew criticism when he agreed to attend the funeral. While the decision was not totally out of the ordinary, the fact that Rain is giving support to a known member of Red Youth who promoted millennialism throughout his life is unusual. Later in the day, President Rain was seen together with a group of Red Youth members, standing together and paying respects to Circus. Nationalists who saw Circus as a traitor heavily criticized the president's move, which will surely continue among the conservative wing of the United Sordland Party. Never would Saul have thought that his party would be led by someone who stands together with a communist who studied in the homeland of millennialism. I mean, do I quite care about these guys' opinion? Do I quite care about people who would judge me for attending a funeral? No. Glory to Sordland indeed. How's it going, buddy? How's it going? Yeah, I feel like the Hallsword Post was rather positive there. Unfortunately... Hold on. This wasn't a notification. Earlier in the day, mourners in Hallsword gathered outside of the Maroon Palace where Bernard Circus was shot, holding identical black and white signs reading, "We are all Bernard Circus, and we are all millennialists." The funeral took place in Dare amid tight security. White doves were released into the air, and much of downtown Dare was closed to traffic. President Rain was among the thousands who attended the funeral. This is a positive indicator that gives us hope that the state might finally be giving up on a lynching culture and started to practice self-criticism. Circus murder has stirred debate about nationalism in Sordland and has been viewed with concern abroad, especially by the millennialist bloc of the East. Yeah, exactly, Haldor, exactly. Oh, I'm weird that this thing wasn't highlighted. Did I miss it? The economists have nothing to say about this, of course. They can't spin this, I suppose. Alright, cool. Mr. Koronti has started his revenge. The Hallsword Post? No, that was a overall positive bit of writing, actually. Black Gold 25. I mean, but that's why we push for change, right? Alright, what's going on with our highway project over here? Briefing on the current diplomatic situation. Oh, this is not about the highway project at all. The Blue Mansion in Lackhaven hosted us for the important diplomacy gathering. The door opened, and David Whiskey, once a lecturer to me, now the Minister of Foreign Affairs, gently made his way towards my desk. May I sit down, Mr. President? Of course, whiskey is always welcome. It's a pleasure to see you, Mr. Whiskey. Likewise, we have so much ahead of us to accomplish. Oh, is Sordland Today his paper? Oh, okay. Radical is nationalist. Are they? They were mourning Bernard Circus. And they have been reporting on hate crimes and stuff. I don't know. He slowly sat down, taking care not to aggravate the arthritis in his knees. He'd always had an air of gravitas about him, and old age had only served to deepen that. This man's aged pretty well, rocking that white hair. After he settled himself, he regarded me with delight, his blue eyes sparkling. Look at you, Anton, the 4th president of Sordland. What a privilege for me. I still remember the first day you took my class at the Dare University of Culture. I remember how hard we worked on the Agnolia trade agreement together. Countless late nights at the ministry to finalize. It was an experience, for sure. We signed our best trade deal yet, with a good slew of trade advantages over Agnolia. It was even somewhat unfair from my point of view. Somehow, the inexplicable ebb and flow of life has led us here, to positions where we can change the course of history. This is our opportunity to shape the future, and we will do precisely that. The other stuff felt a little too spiritual or like luck-oriented. I'm looking forward to our new foreign policy. He started coughing again, this time for longer. Oh man. Can I play one game that doesn't have somebody either coughing or people getting sick? Or I'm joking, obviously. Would you like some tea or water? Oh, yes, please. Tea and water sounds nice. Thank you very much. Oh, man, I was so worried he was going to say just water and I would have to have him assassinated, but I'm glad he's taking both. He smiled. Livia brought 2 cups of tea along with a glass of water and placed them on the table. It seems you still remember how much I like tea. Nowadays, it really does wonders to my throat. Wonderful. I could ask about his wife. I could ask about his niece, who might be going to kindergarten. I could ask about him or foreign policy. How's your wife, Catherine, doing? Am I having tea, Wickles? Are you asking me that? Also, hey, Wickles, how's it going? Have you been lurking, or you just joined? So, how is your wife, Catherine, doing? My lovely Catherine is as energetic as always. Age has hit me harder than her, for sure. She still does her daily jogs, unlike me. Nothing can challenge time. Nothing. How's the Rain family? Ooh. I don't know about either of these. Oh, damn. Well, I hope you got a good night's sleep despite that. Enjoying the day off, I hope. Almond cake and tea. That does sound quite nice. Let's see. I'll say we're slowly starting to get used to the routine. I don't want to, like, be negative. This sounds a little, like, pandery. I can't tell, you know? She hasn't really done anything yet. But I'm considering that by modern standards of what a first lady is responsible for, right? I don't know about the 50s. 50s, I mean, yeah, still the beginning of, like, because Monica hasn't really been involved in policy making or anything yet. Undoubtedly, it will be something that comes up. But I feel like. Oh, you worry about even the small talk? Yeah, I know I do, don't I? I say we're slowly starting to get used to the routine. I'm very big on like role playing and being a character, not just like being like, yeah, whatever, this choice doesn't really like. The moment you start going like, well, this conversation doesn't really matter, then it's like, well, what's the point of playing a game that's all about the conversations you're having, right? She will do very soon. Oh, I'm sure she will. I'm sure she will. As time passes, I realize it more. Family is the most important thing in life. We must take care of them. The door opened. Yosef and Lucien joined us for the briefing as a tall case clock hit the hour mark. This guy is always on time. This guy is more punctual than time itself. This guy, meanwhile, looks a little bit like a big toe. Like the bottom of a big toe, doesn't he? Peter, however, was missing. I wondered if he was late from all the drinking that he did at the party in Lackhaven. Oh, Peter. This guy. Set in the 50s, but it feels more like the 60s or 70s in many ways. I think, first of all, hey Maxine, glad you can make it. Don't know if you were just lurking earlier, but glad you're dropping by. I feel like it's kind of like it's late 50s, right? It's like 54 or something right now. So mid to late 50s, I think. We'll talk more later, President Rain. Welcome, everyone. How was your travel to Lackhaven? A little bumpy due to some turbulence. I arrived via a military cargo plane that landed at Lackhaven International. Jeez. I took the train. It was a little slow, but I can still recommend it for the beautiful landscape. I also had the possibility to work on a couple of things during the ride. Well then, since Mr. Vectorn doesn't seem to be coming today, I think we're ready to start. I'll start by providing a brief overview of our current status with our neighbors. What would you like to start with? Okay, well, I'd like to hear about Agnolia. They're the ones who the highway project should kind of help, like, improve relations with, right? Trade deals and stuff like that with as well. So them first. Our brotherly nation, is that sarcasm or stress? Our brotherly nation to our northeast, Agnolia. They're still diplomatically non-aligned and probably has one of the most democratic systems between our neighbors. Okay, good. Economic stagnation is a worry for them. Their primary issue is their heavy reliance on foreign investment from us. Oh, good. Agnolia is our most friendly neighbor. We have been allies for the longest time after Rumburg annexed Dome. This fact needs to be a part of the equation. Unsurprisingly, the Agnolian Prime Minister, Martin van Horten, is expecting better cooperation through a new, fairer trade deal with us. It was one of his election mandates. Ah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, Maxime, yeah, I just realized that after the fact. Okay, I mean, even David himself said that the deal we came up with was definitely unfair to them, and if they are our longest, like, one of our longest term allies, then we need to take that into consideration. A more comprehensive trade deal sounds beneficial to all sides. We have a northern threat, right? Alone, we might have some trouble, but with some allies in the region, it might not be a bad idea. Let's see. We'll see about it. We'll see about it. Second one seems reasonable. Yeah, I agree. Both sides could gain from it, but Agnolia has more to win than us. They want to protect their weaker industries, which we are profiting from selling our goods to. Additionally, the latest numbers indicate that currently 1 million Agno-Swordish citizens live in the Agnland region of Sordland. So 1 million people who are from across the border, like of mixed heritage, I suppose, live in our northern provinces, what that's saying. Okay. Which creates a link between foreign policy and our internal affairs. These people have suffered socioeconomically, which led them to crime and other problems, which is something we're trying to solve. In addition, a relaxed immigration policy was one of Agnolia's main requests, which is unacceptable. Most of the migrants in our country haven't even assimilated into Swordish culture. Adding more won't help. I'm supportive of relaxed immigration. I'm pretty sure that was our promise during our election. Yeah, there's a ton of historical lore. It's really well written. It's really well done, and I tried to highlight it as well for my like 5 great games that you missed video, because I feel like it was like went under so many people's radars. You know, I am supportive of relaxed immigration. Yeah. I don't know where this conversation about assimilation has come up all of a sudden. I would rethink the matter seriously because it has great influence on our society and values. Yeah, I can see your values on your chest, buddy. We should remember that we promised to keep our immigration laws relaxed in the election campaign. Exactly. Tell me more about Volksland. I want to know more about Volksland. Our cousins of old across the Markian Sea wishes to have good relations with us. As we all know, Volksland is a socialist republic aligned with United Contana. They are an important regional player. Okay, very well. Very well. El Presidente, I bought this after seeing your first stream and was extremely happy with the game, so thank you for getting this out there. I'm glad to hear that. It always makes me happy to hear when folks pick up a game because they've seen it on the channel and they enjoy it. That's always nice to hear, so thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. I'm going to close this, actually, because, yeah, Wickles, he was bothering me. I mean, he's always going to be here, but at least now his imposing gaze isn't, like, piercing into my very soul. Plus, we can put his commendations aside. They're an important regional player. It's also the most significant sea power in Eastern Maricopa. We had hostile relations with them after several wars in the 19th century, which we wouldn't want to experience again. So they're the type of cousin that we fight with, fair enough. Strange intro. Strange intro. Recently, the relationship has warmed up thanks to Emmerich Hegel. As a result, diplomatic talks can be conducted in the future. He is a politician and communist revolutionary, currently the Chancellor of the Democratic Republic of Volksland. Okay, gotcha. It's not easy to forget about the Great Fire of Conriat. Thousands of lives were lost that day. Breaking the ice with Volksland could be good if we are to rise diplomatically. We shouldn't take any sides between the regional powers. I mean, I agree with 2 and 3 over here. Like, the issue with 1 is, like, while I agree it's not easy to forget, I think it is important to move on from past experiences, because otherwise you hold grudges, nothing ever moves forward, and it's a downward spiral. I feel like 2 is the best option in the sense that we are open to it, but we're not committing to anything. 3 feels like a commitment to not speak to them. So, yeah, I agree, Sam, yeah. I feel like breaking the ice with Volksland could be good, if we are to rise diplomatically especially. Again, speaking to them does not mean aligning with them. You take a look at the non-alignment movement in real-world history, you get a lot of those countries working with aligned nations doesn't necessarily make them aligned, right? Being socialist gives you something in common. There's that as well, yeah. No harm in being friendly, absolutely. I agree they could be potential allies in my opinion. The situation in the region necessitates that we find allies, especially against the North. They haven't been in good relations with us for the past 200 years. Recently, they have also joined the Communist Contana Security Pact, subjugating themselves to United Contana. On top of that, territorial issues flare up between Agnolia and Volksland because of the Helgeland Island. The Swordfish Navy is very concerned with this volatile situation. Okay, good to know. Lucian looked slightly worried. Unfortunately, billions of Swordfish Ren worth of cargo is transported close to Volkslandian maritime borders on the Markian Sea and the Grey Strait. This causes significant risks to our imports and exports in the case of a deterioration in relations. Oh, that's very good to know. Yeah, budget's pretty low, but that's okay. I mean, you got to spend money to make money, right? We can't not spend any money all the way through. So I think we'll be fine. Plus, we can take this into negatives in a worst-case scenario. We can't expect the worst. The strait is of high strategic value to us. No. Prepare for the worst. Strait is a very high strategic value to us for sure. I have to act as a moderator. Fair enough. With the good heads up. Yosef, the Navy is keeping an eye on the situation from a distance, right? We are actively monitoring the sea routes and cargo ships. For now, there is no immediate threat, but we don't know what can happen in the future. And what's the latest situation in Wellen? You're almost always in the negative, Maxime? Yeah, you can go into the negative and you can sustain yourself as long as the end results are all, positive. It is tumultuous in the south, as always. Victor Smolak is expanding his powers among protests from Owezek people. However, he is quite positive about a normalization of relationship between our countries. Now, this is the guy whose approach has resulted in a lot of destabilization in the region, a lot of refugees coming through across the border. So, again, there's no harm in being friendly, but we need to keep in mind the type of person that he might be
We'll find out soon enough. Reports indicate that they have been warming up to Contana international aid. As you know, well, instability was always a concern for the region. I love when the game reaffirms what I've said. We don't know what to expect in the future. That's pretty much how life works. Yes and no, because some decisions have very clear consequences, right? Like if I choose to jump off a cliff, I know what to expect in the future. Morbid example, but it doesn't matter if wealth reaches 0. You can go into the negatives, but it's obviously not a good situation to be in, because if you stay in the negatives for a long time, I imagine there are some consequences. I imagine. But if we want to help them, we must not treat refugees like we did in the 30s. I still can't stomach the inhumanity of those people suffering. A trade agreement with them would improve stability and increase mutual trade, okay. Why help such a disorganized state? Not sure about what we can do to help them. Sordland paid enough by housing millions of refugees during the Welland civil crisis. No more. No, I don't mind if we have to house more refugees. Refugees are refugees. It's not their fault that the politicians are up to whatever. Trade agreement could improve stability. And if they become more stable, the region becomes more stable, and that helps stabilize us as well. A trade agreement with them would improve stability and increase mutual trade. There would be many bargaining chips discussed, but Welland could be a new partner in the region. We would also invest in stability there. Our main goal should be to avoid a refugee crisis like the late 1920s. The Civil War had major security and economic repercussions on Sordish soil. One of the demands of President Smolak was to tighten our immigration laws so the political refugees don't escape to Sordland. There has been a recent purge that pushed many Blutish to flee to Bergia. It is definitely troubling. I'm sorry, you can't use a word like purge while I'm trying to be friendly with somebody. Party is really obsessed with jumping from a cliff. It's the example that comes most quickly to mind, I guess. Gumran Outpost has regained its importance due to this. I'm sure you would remember that winter at the border outpost, Mr. President. He was right. I did remember that winter. I remembered how cold it was when I let the refugees slip through. I was discharged of my duties as a result by Major Joseph Lancea, no less, spending the rest of my service cleaning toilets and sleeping in a cell. But look at me now. In fact, there had been a similar refugee situation in the past. Even Mr. President himself chose to disobey direct orders from his commanding officer at the time. I did what was right. Soldiers do not decide on what is right. Soldiers do what they are told to do. He opened his mouth to continue, but David cut in. Our focus should be on the current matters. The Blutish minority is very large inside Welland too, which is a factor to consider. It is in our national interest to prevent the formation of a failed state on our western border. Welland has been increasingly aligning itself towards the Communist Alliance, another point to analyze. Okay, let's move on. Again, the not a fan of Toeman. Yeah. The concern is we cannot have a new. I don't know if it's something that can happen in the country, but there are Blutish people concentrated in Welland. There are Blutish people concentrated in Bergia as well. And Bergia is one of our provinces. Welland is a foreign nation. The concern is if a separatist state. So there is a strong separatist element. A separatist state forming across the border can influence the very same people to feel more empowered as separatists on this side of the border. We have to be very careful about that. The best thing, arguably, to do is to meet some of their needs and demands and prevent separatist ideology on both sides of the border, to try and normalize relations and try and prevent stoking that fire of separatism. Having a failed state in the middle over here is problematic for countless regions. And no, I believe we're actually from Hallsword, aren't we, Jazzy B? No, don't tell me everything that happens in the future. Two important neighboring countries remain, Lesbia and Rumburg. Which would you like to hear about first? All right, tell me about Rumburg. What's the situation up there? Now to the most troublesome nation, Rumburg, a constitutional monarchy led by Queen Beatrice Livingston. I'm sorry, Livingston just makes me think about living a ton and about certain queens that managed to live for a very, 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 very long time. I highly advise caution and calculated action against Rumburg. Our military must be prepared. The threat is real. They are strong and have the motivation as well as the means to damage us. We shouldn't give them any reasons to pursue aggression. Runeberg is and always will be a roguelike state. Nothing can be done about them. What? Well, we must prevent them from interfering in our affairs. I will take your advice in consideration. I'm going to go ahead and say we must prevent them from interfering in our affairs. They already have started. I do feel strongly about this. They have shown similar behavior to their neighboring countries before, but we must be cautious. While Thornbur openly denies such claims, their past and current actions make it clear that they want to destabilize us. The weapons caches found by our intelligence agency clearly shows what their goals are. Our military must be steadfast and our diplomacy valiant. Yosef looked stern and full of resolve. See, here Toman isn't necessarily entirely wrong. The Runeberg threat is one of our top priorities, you can be assured of that. I think the threat is far too overblown. I mean, goddamn. It's not a threat to be taken lightly. Is it one of our top priorities? It is one of our top priorities, but a military solution isn't necessarily the solution we want. Our military is not advanced enough. We could take a diplomatic approach, hopefully. Yeah, I think you're right, ABK. I think you're right. Yeah, Runeberg is one of our top priorities, but again, maybe not necessarily from a military standpoint, a diplomatic standpoint. We're always in dialogue with a Runeberg ambassador to make sure a channel is open to solve disputes. Yeah, if the embassy closes, then we can talk about military action. We could use our aggressive attitude against them by convincing the international community. Okay, now we're talking. Lucian grabbed the Lackhaven Times newspaper and put his finger on the article about the latest diplomatic incident. Their abrupt announcement about the closure of the Runeberg consulate in Lackhaven is yet another step in their escalation. Alright, what about Lesbia? Our southern neighbor is aligning itself more and more with Arcasia. Lesbia is currently led by President Patricio Alvarez. Lesbia... Oh, whoops, that's the whole thing. Normally there's been like a second line that I have to open up to read. Threw me off. Never underestimate a foreign threat, especially from a rogue state. Yeah, exactly. The rules don't apply, kind of, you know. They are the jewel of the continent and the second largest economy in Mercopa. Though wealthy, Lesbia suffers from excessive economic inequality. What makes them the jewel but also the second largest economy? Let me know if that helps you, Maxime. Our past relations have been great, but during the last decade, their investments to Sordland dwindled due to our instability. Okay, investment dwindled due to our instability. That's on our side. Allying with the richest regional nation could be beneficial. Yes, Lesbia is a sleeping giant. We should not awake them. They keep turning a blind eye towards the region, thinking that Lesbia is above it all. Do they? Carlos M. joining in as our latest member. Thank you very much for that. Not sure why PartyBot is not able to keep up with things. Might be because of our issues from earlier. I apologize about that. But thank you very much for joining in as our latest member. Folks, drop your flags, drop your E's. A warm welcome to our latest member of the channel. Thank you very much. Again, that kind of support really goes a long way in keeping the channel alive and running smoothly. It helps support these streams. It helps support the channel. So again, I appreciate it greatly. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Allying with the richest regional nation could be beneficial. It's true. I don't see the concern in awaking them. They're an economic superpower, or it sounds like they're an economic superpower, at least in the region, right? Sure, allying with the richest regional nation could be beneficial. If anybody has any issue with that, then they'll bring it up. It could be, but it would also mean that they would draw closer to Arcasia. Okay, so it could be, but it would also mean that we would draw closer to the Arcasia bloc and near the Arcasian Treaty Organization. Okay. I am certain that the recession has a lot to do with their retraction of investments. Once they see that money isn't in the picture, they vanish rather quickly because they are capitalists. They have shown a selfish attitude during the Welland Civil War by closing their borders and funneling refugees to cross into Sordland. Okay, see, this is that. Here's when the negatives come out. Here's when the truth starts to come out. Lucian cleared his throat. Our values are too different. It'll be hard to see eye to eye. The capitalism is not inspirational to me. No, it is not. Our values are too different. It will be hard to see eye to eye. Trying to stay in character here, right? Just saying it'll be hard to see eye to eye doesn't shut down the door. It doesn't shut the door. It doesn't shut down the conversation. It just agrees that we'll have trouble and we'll have to keep that in mind. Very useful information. We know what their priorities are exactly. Maybe we don't have to try too hard. We just have to improve our economy and they will naturally come through, right? Nothing wrong with approaching both sides as long as you don't officially join a side. Neutral block. Exactly, Maxine. Like I was saying earlier, the real world has a non-alignment movement. There are non-aligned nations that stay non-aligned but work with countries from, all alignments but don't align themselves. So I completely agree. Lesbia has for a long time benefited from us through our old tariffs. They are after exploitation. There are hundreds of very privileged oligarchs who invest inside and outside of Lesbia. Some made significant business investments in the cities of Benfi and Volgan. This covers the overview of the current situation. We'll move on to our trade choice in the response to Rumburg's diplomatic escalation. The sun began to set over the hills surrounding Lackhaven. The team was ready to give advice on the new trade initiative and the response to the latest diplomatic incident with Rumburg. Peter arrived late and a little rougher than usual. It must have been the drinking from last night. Hey there, folks. Excuse my delay. I'm sure I didn't miss anything we didn't already know. You were still supposed to be part of this meeting. Also, on time. Punctuality is important. We're talking about serious subjects here. I'll cover for him. I'll admonish him afterwards. God damn it. Because the thing is, he's a friend of a long time as well. I'm not a fan of cronyism, but there's nothing to gain from having people hate the vice president. Yeah, having him hate me is also probably not a good idea. Peter was assigned a task for me. That is why he's late. So let's move on. I don't necessarily like this, but gotta move on and move on with positivity. Yeah, help a brother out, exactly. Yes, it went successfully, sir. Peter's tone was more serious. Expect a report on your desk tomorrow. The Vice President will be part of the trade delegation, so it is great to have input on that subject, but also on the Rumburg incident. There are two issues at hand. Which topic should we tackle first? Let's address the diplomatic incident first. Rumburg Consul Sir Bran Harrington announced the closure of the 120-year-old consulate. Now their diplomatic staff is leaving the city to go back to Thornborough. These guys are it's straight up just the UK, isn't it? Sir Bran Harrington, Thornborough. He blamed the lack of security in Sordland due to the assassination and the subsequent protests, but it is obvious that they are making excuses. Yes, it is. Bastards. First they close their consulate, and then they blame our security? Their concerns could be genuine, but this reaction is unnecessary. I mean, literally, we've been having protests. People have been dying on the streets. Like, let's be real here, Yosef. Come on, calm down. Agreed. Other diplomatic missions have worked with our security units to increase the protection of staff and buildings. The neglect of President Alfonso and the chaos of the elections delayed our diplomatic efforts. Now there are only 2 Rumburg diplomatic missions left in Sordland. One is the consulate in Dare, and the other is the embassy in Halsord. Dare. Okay, so further south. Nothing in the north. We are accustomed to the usual rhetoric, but this is far more serious. I must display strength to my people. We can't be pushed around. They are bluffing. We are used to it by now. No, this is far more serious, I would say. I think, this is far more serious. Like, it's a big move to close a consulate. They're playing with fire. Look at what the Welland destabilization has done to the region. Sordland breaking apart would tear Maricopa apart. In my entire career, I've never seen our Rumburg relations suffer this much. The previous low point was the annexation of Dome. Joseph Lancea was furious. He barely kept himself from slamming the desk. There are worrying developments like the smuggled arms and the build-up near the border. Our military must be buffed up to stand against a regional power like Rumburg. We either respond to this aggressive act with a diplomatic condemnation, or we retaliate by closing our consulate in Dome. I want to say that an escalation would be risky this early in our presidency. We should focus on creating a negative image of Rumburg in the international scene. The people of Sordland must be protected, no matter the cost. I say we respond equally. Retaliation often leads to escalation. Retaliate by closing the Sordland embassy in Dome. They think they can bully us. They were never so wrong. Or, write an official diplomatic response condemning this unreasonable act. Declare that Rumburg aims to destabilize Sordland and the region. Oh my god, neither... Okay, both of these are escalatory. Okay. I'm leaning towards 2. I'm leaning towards 2 because, again, our retaliation is closing an embassy. And I stressed this before, there's a difference between closing a consulate and an embassy. Closing an embassy is a big deal. You don't do that. Now, maybe it's a typo, because Dome isn't their capital. So why would we have an embassy there? No, I think this one's a 2. I think this one's a 2 quite clearly. We're gonna stay diplomatic. Remember, our military is not strong enough to deal with a straight-up confrontation with these guys. It isn't. It's not technologically advanced enough. It's not numerous enough. Too many problems. This has to be handled diplomatically. Yeah, exactly. Getting international opinion on our side is what we need to do. As you wish, Mr. President. I shall begin work immediately in forming the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Swaying the international stage is the key in long-term strategy. I wish we had reacted more strongly. If we don't confront them, they will keep escalating the situation. Let them, we'll continue painting them in a negative light. I, on the other hand, am glad that we are taking the more cautious road. Okay, let's move on to the new trade initiative. You don't align with any superpower, that means you will be obliterated in a war. Yeah, well, I mean, we don't necessarily have to align with superpowers to survive in a war, but we need to make sure that we have some allies if it comes to that. We need to make sure we have some allies first. Our primary goal will be to successfully sign a trade agreement with one of our smaller neighbors. Sorry, I was checking chat. We have 2 options with our trade initiative. Start of new negotiations with our partner Agnolia, and forming a new cooperation with Welland. Okay, tell me about the trade deal with Agnolia. Again, we're friends, we're old allies. Let's keep those relations strong. I don't want them breaking off. See, what could happen if we ignore them, again, I don't know for sure, but in my head, they know they have an unfair deal. We know they have an unfair deal. They're getting the short end of the stick. If we maintain the status quo, they might decide they don't even want to talk to us about a more fair deal. They might decide, you know what, we're out. And then we go from having a lucrative trade deal to having no trade deal, whereas we could have gone from a lucrative trade deal to a, mutually beneficial, still somewhat lucrative trade deal. Let's try and keep, let's be careful about the politics in chat is all I'm going to say, because you're talking about history, fair, but let's, I just want to get it out there. Let's just be careful about the, I understand the context of it, which is why I'm not like, just saying be careful. First off, the reason behind the option is more diplomatic than economic. Although, of course, we can't forego the added economic value. Agnolia is an old ally and a valuable trade partner. I can't view it. What's up, Dietrich? You can't see the screen? Try refreshing if there's a problem. But hey, oh, you can't. Well, I got you. Well, hey, I'm glad you could drop by. Brie? Bye. I think I have brie cheese on my mind or something. Oh man. Why did I have to mention delicious cheese? Now I'm hungry. The point we are at with the early negotiations is around the steel trade. They're demanding that we buy their steel for a higher price. Okay. That is because they think that the deal is far too unbalanced as it is. Their second main demand is a privileged access to our agricultural market. Okay. If we were to fulfill their demands in return, they're offering a full alliance with Sordland against Rumburg. Oh, okay. Okay. Looking at the current advances of Rumburg near our borders, having a coalition against Rumburg would prove extremely useful. Alright, Yusuf, I'm glad you can see the value in this as well. Obviously, there will be consequences for entering a full alliance. Mainly the issue is around the Helgi Islands. Volgsland has clear intentions on taking over the island one way or another, and entering a military alliance with Agnolia will make them furious. Ah, god damn it. Nothing's ever easy. Nothing's ever easy. Oh yeah, for sure, Sipo. Yeah. Again, that's why I said, I totally understand the context of the conversation, but those things can spiral while I'm reading, so I just wanted to make sure everyone was, all good. I want to state my support for the decision to stick to our old ally Agnolia. Even though I disagree with their demand to relax immigration, we have cooperated with them on many issues in the past. Alright. Agnolia is a solid partner for us. David and the President worked on the previous comprehensive trade agreement in the 30s. There are obviously subjects that we would still need to tackle, like our economies, the traded goods, and what to do with immigration. My opinion is that this is a good deal and we should go for it. The new Agnolian Prime Minister is trying to improve the existing relationship. The downside is that we would need to make concessions, a reality of any trade deal. That's the thing, it's like, it looks like everybody in our cabinet, or everybody at least here, is aligned in that we should maintain relations with Agnolia. We've been good historical partners. Yes, there are some potential dangers, but there are potential dangers and risks and caveats with every conversation. Seems like pretty much everyone is aligned. Agnolia seems like the best option for an alliance, that's what I think as well. About the island, we can moderate it? Yeah, I think so. I would be open to creating a new agreement that would satisfy all sides. I think it's a fair place to be. That would be the best outcome. If you decide that Agnolia is a good option, another point is that they have a very democratic system. After the recent elections, the PM has a mandate to arrange a fairer deal with us. Martin Van Horten also is an avid supporter of relaxed immigration. We see very eye to eye in a lot of things. Matthew Carondiot, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Please let me know if I butchered it. Thank you very much for joining in as our latest member. Glad that PartyBot worked there and actually threw up the notifications. Yes, I think something was up with YouTube because that super chat notification is my apologies. That notification in green in YouTube chat is like from YouTube, not PartyBot. Anyway, thank you for joining in. A warm welcome to our latest member. Please drop those flags, drop those E's. Glad to see them in chat already. Thank you very much. Again, that kind of support really helps the channel a lot. I will be updating the end credit screen this weekend, as I try to do every weekend, so prepare to see your name in its rightful place. Since we said we will keep the immigration relaxed, it will help us. Starting the highway construction in Agenland plays a part too. Yes, they will be partial to that decision. Regardless, if we are going to increase our regional influence to previous levels, we might need to make amends with our neighbors. Ultimately, the decision will be up to you, as always. Now, tell me about the trade deal with Welland. Dealing with a fractured country like Welland has its positives and negatives. Although it will be lucrative in short term, there are risks associated with dealing with such a country. They are proposing co-investment projects and a no-tariff agreement. They are also offering oil in return for attracting foreign capital interests from Sordland. However, it is possible that there will be international ramifications of getting closer with a country like Welland. Ooh. If we're trying to align the world for us against Roomberg, we have to be very careful about that. All in all, this is a very lucrative deal for us, however. We need to think about the consequences. I certainly don't support the decision to become friendlier with Welland. We carried their burden for decades. Their migrants flooded our country, and now they're expecting a deal from us. Maintaining influence with Welland could prove useful. Yes, it is risky, but think about our influence on an underdeveloped region like that. We could also sell more products and enter their market easily. Oh, Peter, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, the no-tariff deal does sound like a pretty big positive, and to be able to influence a budding nation. Oh dear, this is a tougher one. This is a tougher one. We can see what the conversation is, but I'm of the opinion that it is simply too risky. Yes, we would gain resources and immediate capital, but I'm afraid of the consequences. This is our Minister of Foreign Affairs, right? I think the return is too lucrative to pass on regardless of the risk. You may be right, it's risky. Yeah, Welland seems like a positive deal, I agree. I'm a little worried about that statement about the international ramifications. I'm also a little worried about upsetting Yosef too much. That's how you get... Upsetting your military personnel and your military ministers is how you get problems on your hand. Do I plan on playing Per Aspera or Mars Horizon? So I played a bit of Mars Horizon. I highlighted it in one of my videos for like the 5 games that you might have missed in 2020. I don't know if I'll play it on stream or anything like that. Might do. And Per Aspera, kind of same situation. Might do. I have had my eyes on Per Aspera as well, though. Need to get your folks to work, and money helps. That's true. You can always sever relations later if you get backlash. Also true. Didn't align with any superpowers. I don't see any consequences in the future. Well, the thing is, though, if we're trying to get people to sympathize with us against Runeberg, but we also work with a rogue state, then we're not going to necessarily gain sympathy. You know what I mean? That's the concern there. He just harps on immigration. Your stance that isn't changing. I know, right? He just keeps repeating himself. It's like, buddy. And I could help them as well, yeah. By having a trade deal, I could influence them. What's the term? There's a term for that when a nation influences another's policies and the way they approach things. Projection of power? Power projection? Is that what I'm thinking about? Anyway, there's value to it. I'm going to say you may be right. I'm going to say I think the return is too lucrative to pass on regardless of the risk. Because again, I'm not closing the conversation either way. I'm accepting that there is a risk, but I am also mentioning that there is value here. Influencing them, yeah, might be exactly what it goes like. It might be a good soft power. Thank you. Yeah, so first one seems beneficial. Don't need superpowers to win a war. Yeah. As someone said, didn't I say that? I thought I said that. Didn't I say that? Yeah, you missed the funeral. It's a really good moment. You did miss that, Maxime. Yeah, just barely too, eh? The migrant crisis was one of the reasons behind the destabilization of Sordland. I would like to point out that it was due to Welland. If we wish to go forward with the deal when the time comes, there is the topic of immigration to consider. Victor Smolak is a known isolationist. Ugh. Our promise to keep the immigration relaxed will not help at all. He blames us for bringing Western interests to the region. He also doesn't want his political opponents to flee here. Well, he's going to have to deal with that. I personally don't like the idea of getting too close to Welland. Me too. Oh, agreed. Oh dear, like nobody's up for this, eh? Nobody is up for this. I still think we should give it a try. Only Peter. Since we did not promise to align with neither East nor West, it is very likely that their concerns would be more around the deal itself. We also need to consider the effects of our economic doctrine plan. The fact that we are headed towards a planned economy will have an influence. Good negotiators optimize the interests, which makes the difference. Good negotiators optimize the interests, which makes the differences become trivial, allowing both sides to reach a deal. That is a weird sentence. I understand what he's saying. Good negotiators optimize interests on both sides, making the overall difference in the trade agreement trivial. Okay, I think that's what he's saying. Very true, Mr. Vector. I mean, David, I'm glad you understand. I thought Peter was still hungover. Very true, Mr. Vector. We have a lot of time to prepare before the scheduled visits to Welland and Ignolia. Good. It's Taylor. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, it's a bit of both soft power and power projection, isn't it? Victor seems like a 50 Cent. Oh, I thought you were saying like, I thought you were saying 50 Cent like the rapper, and I was like, what makes him seem like 50 Cent? I can find him in the club? I believe this gives a brief overview of our current options. Our trade delegation will begin work towards the end of the year. We expect a final negotiation and the signing to happen next year. I'm very much looking forward to visiting Stalport and Raklovitz with party animals like David and Simon. Haha. Oh god. Peter laughed. Yosef narrowed his eyes and stared at him. Well, that concludes our meeting, Mr. Rain. Have a good day and enjoy Lackhaven. I will take my leave then, sir. The meeting concluded and the team dispersed. Our diplomatic action plan officially began. Oh yeah, maybe he does have a candy shop. Alright, good stuff. We've got a situation up over here at Arvery. Young Swords member claimed links to the government. A detained young Swords member in Arvery claimed that he has connections to the government. We've been investigating the truth of his claims, but we're not able to find any leads. Investigation ongoing. Oh, that's a little worrying. Again, Young Swords, just as a reminder, they're the right-wing nationalist organization. By the way, Maxime, I hope the journal was open for long enough for you to see what's up. Let me know if not. But let's also take a look at the news. There are quite a few articles. Looks like the next big step is at Hallsword, and that is about the reforms that are ongoing right now. So let's take a look at the news over here before we get into all that. I mean, yeah, Nico. What I'm saying is I kind of want both. Though I don't think we're in a position to establish air bases in other countries. Emergency in Anrika, mayor announces. Anrika is where? Right over here on the border of Hallsword and Gelsland. What's going on here? Troubling news is coming from the mayor of Anrika, who reported a state of chaos exists in the city and called an emergency directive, authorizing him to use his security powers. In an announcement, Mayor Lest said, "We are reporting 20 police officers heavily wounded, 2 police stations burned down, and several shot. The city is in a state of emergency and we are trying to restore order." The local gendarmerie began assisting the mayor after the emergency request was made. The armed units are now securing critical junctions and key infrastructure like power stations, hospitals, and the municipality building. Local NFP leaders have announced that they will assist the local enforcement with the task of keeping the streets safe by reporting violent dissenters, a statement criticized by the local PFJP official. Yeah, I don't like this vigilante nonsense. I do not like that at all. Because obviously they have their bias, the NFP, right? Obviously they have their bias. Lackhaven Times, what do you have to say? Welfare issues of Narble. Narble, a city that was once an important trade stop for the Markian Empire, has been in a steep decline for the last decade. We have uncovered the hard truth from the residents themselves. KA46? Oh, no. Oh, okay, I see. They're using initials to hide the person's identity. KA, age 46, a shepherd living near the Cavendier Mountains that did not wish to disclose his real name, has made shocking remarks about the city's and region's lack of healthcare services. Where's Narble? Alright. Over in Nargis, it seems. He has waited almost 5 months just to get an appointment in the rural region. Another resident, a farmer, IY, 57, who also did not wish to disclose his name, is living near the outskirts of Narble. The is weird. His children, AY, 14, and VY, 16, have to use dangerous mountain paths to walk to their school located 2 kilometers away, even in the harshest seasons. Great. We've got unrest continues. These guys had 2 articles. The unrest in the streets is continuing, and the tension between different groups leads to new clashes, with hundreds wounded and sometimes several dead a week. Our reporters have interviewed dozens of protest leaders from the regional capitals, revealing different demands from the people. 3 subjects stand out: freedom of expression, democratic change, and economic security. On the other hand, many also went out to protest the worsened living conditions under the recession. I'm trying, man, I'm trying. Every third person our team has talked to mentioned the need for a strengthening of the political system that needs to open up to reflect different opinions. Our eyes on the ground witnessed both peaceful and violent acts. We saw bus stations destroyed, shops burned, and people being carried to the hospitals in ambulances. There were also calm scenes where police forces allowed peaceful protesters from all sides of the political spectrum make their voice heard and disperse some certain cities, like Anrika, Erzarin, and Arvery. What? Oh, I see. The missing period here threw me off. My apologies, folks. Allowed peaceful protesters from all sides of the political spectrum make their voice heard and disperse. Period. Some certain cities, like Anrika, Erzarin, and Arvery, are much more damaged by the unrest. The overall momentum of the protests doesn't seem likely to stop soon. I can't imagine having to proofread a game like this. Like, it must be so difficult to write and then proofread this stuff. So difficult. Radical. We need democracy. We have long demanded the expansion of civil rights with reforms to modernize our nation. When the previous government blamed the Supreme Court for not allowing the reforms, the opposition was quick to point out the flaws within the Constitution and brought focus on reforming the governmental structures to open way for further civil reforms. Now the reformists have increased in number. With a president who is seen as a symbol of change in office, we're waiting for results. That sounds a little more positive than I expected, I think. Whether it is the leader of the opposition or our current president, somebody has to break the cycle and rewrite the constitution made by Tarkin Sol, whose cult of personality has shaped our current divided national spirit and must be broken. Will President Rain stand up to the establishment and listen to the people? We will see. You know what? It's not as negative as I thought it would be. It's not necessarily positive, but it is more hopeful of us than it is like, you know, speaking poorly of us. So that's good. Torpor Games, glad you could make it in today. How's it going? Thank you again for creating this wonderful gem from last year. Sordland is treating me well enough. Some of the newspapers not so well, but overall pretty good. How's it going? Hope you're having a wonderful end to the week. I suspect right now. Thanks for dropping by. Haldor, nationalists, ultra-conservatives, what could go wrong? Yeah, from the people who were reporting. Yeah, I know, right? So many problems, so little money to solve them. I mean, that just sounds like life. Oh. Sounds like the start of a militia, if you ask me. Exactly, Arthur. Yeah, you're talking about the situation with the unrest where the who was it? The NFJP, is that hold on, the codex. Need to make sure NFJ. Yeah, NFP. I always think NFJP for some reason. Yeah, where these guys are like pointing out the bad guys. It's like, maybe, have you looked into a mirror? We're not dead yet. That's a good way to put it, Classify. We're not dead yet. Give a quick rundown of anything in particular or the whole situation, because there's quite a bit to highlight in terms of a quick rundown. But do you mean something particular? Let me know. Geopolitico has this to say. Sordland condemns closure. Oh, there's our diplomatic approach. Oh yeah, having a wonderful time, Torpor. In fact, I included the game as one of the gems of last year that I think a lot of people missed out on. I think you've created something really compelling and interesting over here. And obviously, I mean, you probably can't say anything, but I just want to say that I hope that y'all are planning more like this. This is a very unique type of game, and it hits a lot of notes that games really don't. So thanks for making such a great game. Alright. Sordland condemns closure. The response to the Rumenburg consulate closure in Lackhaven was quick. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs sent a strongly worded official diplomatic condemnation letter, accusing Rumenburg of destabilizing Sordland and the surrounding region. Several nations have made supporting statements for Sordland in the Alliance of Nations. It is clear that this letter is not just directed at Rumenburg, but to all surrounding countries observing the serious situation. You know what? That went pretty well. That went pretty well. It'd be pretty cool to have a VO credit on a game like this, Classified. I don't know how good if my voice acting is good enough, though. The Alliance of Nations is basically this world's equivalent of the United Nations. So, you know, make of that information what you will, I suppose. Make of that information what you will. I think what we've got going on over here is our Reform Committee meeting. Give me a quick second over here, though, folks. I got to take a quick sip of water. I am definitely starting to lose my voice, so give me a quick second, folks. Oh man, that was a lot of water. Just like completely losing my voice. I apologize for that. Alright, let's see what's going on over here. I came a little early to the meeting room before anybody showed up. We had scheduled a meeting to discuss the progress of the Reform Committee regarding the new constitution. I took a seat on the center chair in the vacant meeting room as I waited for them to show up. The reforms were slowly becoming the most significant expectation of my government. We would be changing Sol's constitution of 29. Most people nowadays blame the constitution for the outstanding problems of the country. On the other hand, the reformists in the assembly had been getting louder about their demands. What I knew for sure was that I needed to do something about this encroaching chaos before it swallowed me. Meanwhile, Lucien, Peter, and Nia had been leading the committee to prepare an initial draft for the constitutional amendments. I was intrigued to hear their results. There was a knock on the door. It was Lucien. Good afternoon, sir. Lucien arrived exactly on the hour mark again. His punctuality could almost be described as obsessive. Are you waiting behind the door to come at the exact second? Good afternoon, Lucian, is the option we're going with. Yes, Sant Gens for sure. Is it Gens or Gens? Let me know. I always stumble on that second part. Yeah, this is see what I'm worried about the conversation to come is that we definitely want to align with the PFJP. They are the reformists. We definitely want to align with them, but I am worried about some of their demands upsetting enough people in our own party so that they don't vote the way I need them to. Again, just as a reminder, the PFJP, even if we align with them entirely, they are only 70 votes. We need 166, if I recall correctly, for it to pass the National Assembly. So with their 70, we would still need 96, which is NFP. We can basically imagine they're not going to vote for this. They're going to be against this, right? If we can secure all 70, we need 96, let's say, votes. Let's say 100. Let's round up to 100, right? That is a huge number. That is 2/3 of our own party that needs to align with us. The old guard are almost certainly not interested. They're going to want some concessions as well, right? The oligarchs are probably, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I've made too many friends among the amongst the oligarchs either. The reformists are the ones. Let's find out. The NFP can be forgotten, yeah. But you need a lot of support from your own party, exactly. We do have reformists, so we do have reformists in our party, as long as we can convince them. Because they're going to want stuff as well. Just because they align with me doesn't mean they're going to align with me for free. You know what I mean? Like, that's just politics, right? That's just politics. I hope none of them ask for, like, office or position. That's going to be a difficult conversation. He took a seat on the table and took out a bunch of documents, spreading them on the table. I don't take him as the kind of guy that would actually take a seat on the table. But you learn something new every day. We should begin the meeting as soon as Mrs. Moragna and Mr. Vice President arrives. We finally have some results from the Reform Committee. The oligarchs might cooperate, and the reformists of your party and the PFJP will certainly vote yes. Yeah, the oligarchs will be... I think they're both going to need a little bit of buttering, let's say. Well, how does it look? Well, the situation is quite complicated, but I'm sure we will make it work. Just like we accomplished many things before. Have we? We'll go over the details regarding the new constitution in the meeting. A few minutes later, Peter and Nia also arrived. I don't believe I have any, Oh, okay, I do get along with Nia. I thought I recognized Nia's name from my notes. I do. Radio in our pockets, I don't know, but maybe. Okay, good to know. Good to remind ourselves. After a short chat, everybody sat down and took their notes. Hey, me too. I knew it was going to be a long meeting. There's a lot to talk going about the future of this process. Let us begin to tackle the points of contention. Mr. President, our committee meetings were really fruitful, and we already started working on the constitutional draft together with the reformists. They demanded a little too much, but I have had success with friends Richter to create a realistic draft that could potentially go through the Supreme Court. Oh, see, that's the other big thing. We got to make sure the Supreme Court is okay with our reforms as well, because ultimately they can kill it before it goes through. It might get past the Assembly, but the Supreme Court, because it has so many old guard members, could shut it down. A little? They demanded to rewrite the whole Constitution. The requests were definitely not outrageous, just not realistic in today's circumstances, just because it wouldn't pass the Assembly. Nonetheless, I'm glad that we are reaching common ground already. If we can reach an agreement with the reformists, we will be very strong in the Assembly to propose the change. Can we reach a 2/3 majority in the Assembly? If you can get friends Richter to work with you on this, our only problem would be uniting our own party. We'll never be able to get NFP to work with us. Yeah, we knew this already. We need the majority of our 130 seats in the Assembly to vote in favor. With PFJP's full support of 70 votes, we will easily surpass the needed 166. Again, I like when the game reaffirms what I was saying. But it will be tough to unite the USP with all the divisive wings that has formed. You must make them follow you loyally. Well, we did it before for the elections, we can do it again. Let's be a little hopeful and optimistic. I was looking for the word optimistic, but pessimistic is the only word coming to mind. I hope that's not a bad omen. Albin Clavin and his reformist wing would be supporting you. He already weighed in heavily in the committee meetings. He's in the USP, he's in our party, but he's a reformist. Leading, in fact, the reformist wing in our party. However, the conservatives would be tough to break. The influence of Saul is still living strong in the party. Well, how many votes do they have? The conservatives have around 40 seats. There are many unaligned people, and some of your loyalists might decide to show their true faces too. Oh, geez, okay. If all 40 vote against us, then we will not get the majority that we need. The super majority, I suppose, that we need. Is it a super majority? I didn't do the math on it. So we need as many of the conservatives to support us. Okay. There's only one person who is key to make them back us. Gloria Tori. She's well respected by the Solists. She'll be our biggest obstacle in the assembly, and her demands will be extensive. Very well. I also have reasons to think she might be in Orso's pocket. She will be tough to break, but we'll need her help to get the conservative support. Now, is it possible to pass the Supreme Court? That's the big question. They are the biggest obstacle. Even if we pass the assembly, the Chief Justice will do his best to block our amendments. We need at least 6 of the 11 judges to vote for the proposal, but Mr. Hawker has enormous influence over the judges. Mr. Hawker, I'm pretty sure, is old guard. We should reach out to the judges in secret. Some of them might be willing to break rank to support us. They will surely support a just cause for the country and its future. Let's not be naive. Let's not be naive. Yeah, I was gonna say that, Jazzy. Yeah, it's a funny. I wonder if that's intentional. I imagine it might be. All means are to be considered in order to succeed. Well, you know, all means minus some. Yeah, I don't want to like break legs and take bribes. But I also don't believe they'll just support a just cause for the sake of justice. Is there a Suzerain labor? All means are to be considered. Nia was taken aback by the statement. Oof, I'm sorry, Nia. Not exactly how I meant it. According to the Constitution, I am a member of the Supreme Court, which means we already have 1 vote. 2 of the judges are friends of mine and have similar opinion about the reforms. Consider them with me. Okay. So we got 3. All right. Who else would be... I'm sure the rest can be bribed. No. Who else would be willing to support reforms? I think Judge Edmonds can be persuaded. And an extension, Mr. Dalton and Mr. Merton. Okay. Oops. They weren't really blinded by the Solist ideology. Yes, those 3 don't seem to be working directly with the Chief Justice Hawker. If we can get Isabel Edmonds, we might get the 6 votes needed. That's our best bet. Okay, listen. I can't remember if she was Miss or Mrs. Tory, but we understand who this is. I want to make sure... I don't remember her first name. Sorry, I think one of you mentioned it in chat. Gloria. There you go. Need to get to Gloria Tory and Isabel Edmonds. Just want to get these names down because I feel like I might forget it. Whoops. I don't know why I clicked that. My apologies. What are the demands? Yeah, okay, what are the demands? We should run down each of the main demands of the committee and get your input first. Mrs. Morgana can... I'm getting a red flag here before everybody else's... Oh, no, look, flags are turning green. Yeah, looks like we're good. Lagging a lot. Try refreshing if... I don't know, I feel like YouTube's like... Twitch has had some issues last week as well, or through this week. I think Twitch was having some issues, and YouTube's been having some issues for quite some time now. Roomberg hackers are on to me. Yeah, honestly, eh? Feels like it. Feels like it. Oh, Google had some issues today? Oh, interesting, interesting. Twitch died yesterday? Yeah. Fine. All right, cool. Back for now. Fingers crossed, folks. Let's try and get through this conversation at least. And we should counter hack Roomberg, I suppose, Torport. Alright, even though Mr. Richter put on a whole show about why vetoes should completely be removed, the committee has almost unanimously agreed on fixing the loopholes, thus limiting presidential vetoes. I'm taking that they learned what happens when you do not allow the president to have vetoes. You'll remember in the first session, I think it was, maybe the second, I think it was the first session, where I purposely ignored the option to veto something, and it didn't go the way that Mr. Richter wanted it to. Mr. Richter would have preferred that I veto the bill that came across my table that time, but I was trying to be friendly, and I was like, all right, we're not going to veto this. We're going to show that we're open to not having veto power. And hopefully that's shown you that it's important to have some veto power somewhere, God, I was so, not when I say I was so upset at how that went down, I mean in the sense of, in character. I loved how it went down as a player, but in character, it's just God damn it, I was doing what you wanted, technically. My suggestion is to add a clause detailing the methods the Assembly may override a veto with some sort of supermajority. One person should never be able to block the rest. I like that. So basically the idea is that if I say, I think what they're proposing is that if I say we should veto this, the Assembly can override my veto if they get a supermajority. That's a 2/3 vote. Oh, I see. So Mr. Richter still believes that vetoes should be removed completely, but the committee unanimously agreed on just fixing loopholes. So it's still a bit of a decision. Okay. What do y'all think, chat? What do y'all think? I feel like 2 is the way to go. Because the committee might be able to convince Mr. Richter. Mr. Richter getting his way on his own, he can have, disagreements within his party and stuff as well. I'm sure his party overall wants some reform rather than none. So I feel like 2 is the way to go. Yeah, seems like chat agrees. Keeping options open without letting friends set the agenda. Yeah, we want to be friends doesn't mean he can just take control, right? Loopholes give the president too much power, which could be misused. 1 is too radical for your own party. That's also true. Checks and balances, very important. Whatever you decide, it's important to get a balanced picture. We will be making history by changing the 29 Constitution of Saul. The second one is about the judiciary. The new constitution will remove the Supreme Court's right to vote on legislation. Yeah, I'm sure that'll go through smoothly. This is yet another point that was unanimously agreed on by all parties. Tarkin Saul established this rule to protect his 29 Constitution. We all know most of the judges are still his pawns. Constitutional amendments will still be very difficult to accomplish with a reform like this, particularly because we will keep the 2/3 vote system to be able to propose a change. However, the judiciary will not have the final say in the amendments. Okay. This is already what we wanted to do. Yeah, it's true. We need the courts to even pass this change. Why would they support this? I want to see what they have to say. A weakened veto will let you have some control in a fairly closely divided legislature. Yeah. Yeah, 1 did seem fine. I wonder if I'm going to regret my click there. We need the court to even pass this change. Why on earth would they support this? Most of them won't, but we already talked about my vote, and a possible agreement with Isabel may change things. Apart from these 2 critical points, they have other major demands. They want to reform the appointment procedures of the ministers. Mr. Richter clarified that the Assembly should have a say in the formation of the Council of Ministers. That is something that a majority in our party also supports. Okay. Well, Mr. Richter also talked about abolishing the member of honor rights of Tarkin Sol. That gives him absolute immunity and makes him a permanent member of the Assembly. Well, that one is a controversial one. I doubt the USP would like that. Immunity of the justices, the impeachment of the president, limiting the power of the presidential decrees, all of this came up during the committee meetings. Yes, reformists expect big reforms, while our faction and the USP are not very keen on pushing changes that are too great. Of course, a little middling. I'd say keeping everything in the middle ground is the safest bet. No need to agitate anyone too much. Oh dear. This one's a scary one because like staying in the middle has a huge risk because either on the one hand everybody could be happy, on the other hand everybody could be very upset, right? Man, if you stay in the middle of the road, you get run over. Yeah, get hit by both sides. I think comprehensive reforms are not a bad idea. I feel like maybe the reformists... See, the committee, every time they refer to the committee, it tends to be like the voice of reason. Like Mr. Richter's like, we should do this, and the committee has been like, wow, or how about this? And then the committee seems to agree with the how about this. Oh, man. You know what? Let's at least secure those 40 votes, and then we can convince the people in our own party. Let's push for comprehensive reforms. Yeah, I agree, Sant. Let's try it. Oh, dear Lord. I'm with you on this, Mr. President. Well, that's good, Nia. Well, regardless of what Mr. Rain decides, we will need to work together to push this agenda. Now we have a better picture of your intentions, sir. I will start reaching out to my contacts to make a draft that works for us. I'll present your input to the committee. In a few months, you would have the draft on your desk to make the final changes yourself. I think this was yet another fruitful meeting, sir. Together we will democratize Sordland. I'm torn between 1 and 3, but I feel like 3 is more on point to the meeting we just had. Saying why not leave it alone, because really all it would do is annoy conservatives and so on, when you're already doing things that might annoy them. You mean in terms of going comprehensive? The immunity aspect is very interesting. You don't want future presidents to be afraid of doing their job and get sentenced for it. The immunity aspect is very interesting, but I feel like there are ways to finesse it. I feel like there are ways to finesse that conversation, which will hopefully be able to come across. Which will hopefully come across. Yeah, together we will democratize Sordland. Oh, I see what you're saying, Jazzy. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's a good point. You have my full support, Mr. President. Ours too, of course. Yes, sir. Thank you for your time. I think this is where we'll call it, sir. Have a good day. They left the room. You know what? Gonna have to say, I think that went pretty well. We have a situation over here. H3 construction plans started by SSC. The Swordish State Corporation has reported the preparatory work for the H3 highway has already started, including clearing land and demolishing buildings in the path of the future roadway. Construction of the highway will be starting in the next months, working west from Lackhaven. Good stuff. News article as well. What does the Radical have to say about us? WPB protest electoral bill. Growing discontent over the past electoral campaign finance bill, which has excluded public funding for parties that aren't able to enter the Grand National Assembly, has reached a boiling point when all Workers' Party of Bludia officials and members went out in protest around the country. Strong voices of support came from the Labour Union of Sordland and the People's Freedom and Justice Party, calling the bill unfair for most parties and an attack on the democratic principles. This is the bill that I did not veto, even though the right thing to do would have been veto it. I chose not to veto it because the assembly passed it, and Richter over here is all like, oh, the president shouldn't have veto powers. Well, this is what you get, man. This is what you get. And now his own party is upset. That's what happens when the president is unable to veto stuff. The new bill means that the WPB lost half of their total party funding, and since they couldn't pass the high election threshold of 10% to enter the assembly, aren't eligible at all to receive any public election funding for the 1957 elections. The WPB leader said that their struggle for the workers of Sordland continues, and that they are willing to explore other options to be able to present the hundreds of thousands of people that voted for them. Now, their struggle continues. President Rain and the USP establishment are actively seeking to suppress the political representation in this country. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I was doing what the PFJP wanted. Damn it. Again, like I said, frustrated in character, loving it as a player. I really wonder how differently things could have gone. The next order of business is a meeting with Chief Justice Orso Hawker. A very important meeting, of course, because as Chief Justice, he is naturally up over here, and he is almost certainly, well, as we can see, of the old guard. That's a very important conversation that's coming up. But folks, that is an important conversation that's coming up next time. This is where we're going to call it a session. I was actually going to make this just a 2-hour stream, but with some of those technical difficulties especially, and just the momentum we were gaining, I didn't want to stop too prematurely. I wanted to figure we'd take us for a little bit longer. If I engage in another conversation, though, we'll go well beyond the 3-hour mark, I think, which I'm always hesitant about. So, folks, this is where we're going to call it today. Interesting situations coming up. Of course, the story continues next week, Friday at the same time. That's 10 a.m. Eastern start time. This Monday, I will not be streaming. We are taking a day off between, our previous and our upcoming Crusader Kings 3 live stream playthrough. Tuesday, though, we will be back with a live stream. Hopefully, these last couple of Tuesdays have been extremely unlucky for me, but hopefully this coming Tuesday will be okay to be back with some more Phantom Brigade action. Again, same time as always, folks, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Again, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's joined in today. A big thanks to our, super chatters and our new members as well, of course. And as always, that stuff really helps support the channel, really helps keep things going. Of course, no session is ever really complete without a massive thanks to all of the channel members and patrons who have been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Like I always say, again, y'all keep us alive, y'all keep us running smoothly, you keep the wind in our sails, it's really appreciated, you keep the channel sustainable, you keep the stream sustainable, so thank you very much. And of course, a big thanks to everyone who's joined in and is watching either live or watching the VODs. I really appreciate it. Again, if it wasn't for each and every one of you, this channel would not be where it is today. So my gratitude forever and for always. I hope y'all had a good time today. I see there is it seems to be that y'all enjoyed today. Again, I do apologize for the technical issues. It's something I've been dealing with for the last, it feels like a month now. Hopefully it'll all come to an end soon, but I'm glad at least we managed to fix things early on, and we ended up getting a stream today, unlike the last stream, right? Yes, make sure you join the Discord as well. Thank you, Wickles. Join the Discord. Link has just been dropped there. It is a wonderful community of fantastic people. If you want to hang out with people who play strategy games, all sorts of games, actually. Lots of multiplayer action going on across games as well. Lots to chat about all kinds of stuff. So if you're looking for a good community to hang out with about, gaming and just people to chill and chat with, do not hesitate to join in. It is a wonderful place to hang out. CK3 is the next Monday. That is correct, Carol. So not this coming Monday, but the Monday after that one. So yes. With that said, again, thank y'all for joining in. Thank you, Torpor Games, for dropping by as well. Glad you had fun. And again, thank you for this beautiful game. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Friday and a beautiful weekend ahead of you. Until next time.